listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is the Awards Watch Podcast, episode 282. I'm your executive editor, Ryan McQuade. Joining me today is our associate editor, Sophia Ciminello.
Hi, everyone.
Karen Peterson.
Hello.
Josh Parham.
Hello, hello.
Dan Bayer.
Hello, everybody.
And the Doof Warrior himself, Jay Ledbetter.
Hello. What would the Doof Warrior say? I don't know. Can he speak? Can the Doof
I think that's exactly what he would sound like. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Doof Warrior here.
Witness
me.
Witness me.
He's got kind of an NPR vibe, I think.
Witness me. Yeah, for sure. We are here to talk about the 2015 year of films, the 88th Academy Awards. Doing another retrospective. Very quickly after the Ordinary People year. It was very testy. Jay was
the controversial episode.
Yeah,
I like to call it the Ordinary People Massacre of 2025.
But I feel like we decided we wanted to do another one because nobody here wanted to talk about a Minecraft film. And I don't blame you guys if I would have got 6 people on to talk about Minecraft, I think I would have owed you all $1,000 a piece.
Using A instead of the in the title is a threat.
I think
that's what we were agreeing to. I would have taken the Minecraft. I'd talk about it for $1,000.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Even I would do that.
Well, too late.
I
would have done 2015 because I'm all about the content.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jay. See, once again, Jade's sacrificing for the greater good, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Sort of
I'm just in it for the money.
Podcast.
There you go. We're here to talk about this year in film. I think a real interesting year in film, 2015. I want to go around. Where was everybody at in 2015? Karen, where were you at in 2015? You're covering this?
The only thing that has changed in my life since 2015 is my address. So,
and the site you write for?
Well, the site I write for, but I was writing in the awards space. So, yeah.
Was Karen the only one writing in the award space at this moment? Dan, were you
probably the only one old enough?
Dan, were you writing yet?
No. Well, actually, yeah, I was writing for the Film Experience in 2015.
Okay.
This was the year. Well, not even the year. I had moved to New York in September of 2014. So there's one particular movie that came out this year that, as you might imagine, hit very close to home.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to hear about Jurassic World. Josh, what about yourself?
Well, 2015, I wasn't writing anything professionally at that point. But I do remember this period being when I was actually working in a movie theater. So my experience with a lot of these films was actually as they were coming out. And yeah, you mentioned Jurassic World, and I have just horror flashbacks to how just brutally unprepared we were for that weekend and how much it was just a train wreck.
Did you guys have a margarita machine for that movie as well?
We should have passed it around to some of the staff because God, that and Star Wars both this year were just awful. Oh, yeah. But at the same time, I still feel like that was an interesting perspective to see these movies while working in a theater. So I do cherish that, but not my time working at the movie theater.
Did they still, Josh, you would know this because you were, like you said, you were working at the time. Did they have the midnight screenings back then, like true midnight screenings?
No, at that time they had been pretty much phased out to Thursday.
God, I love the midnight screenings.
I miss a midnight screening, man.
I kind of do because that's real dedication, right?
Yeah,
there.
You're gonna watch I don't know. I think Star Wars was a midnight screen because they had 24-hour.
We did
screenings around, for that whole thing. Which
I remember seeing Terminator Salvation at midnight.
What a time.
What a time.
You have thoughts on that?
Loved it. 10 out of 10. I can't wait for the 2000 and what would that be? 10?
Was that 10?
Retrospective.
Yeah. That'll be later this year, right? Jay, where were you at?
Yeah, I guess this was I was writing about film at this point. Of course, my college blog, Raining Frogs Reviews, not great for our ISO, but it was about my love of Magnolia at the time. But at this point, I think I was writing for Film Inquiry, which still exists. Go check it out. I think one of my favorite pieces I ever wrote actually was about Ex Machina. So
Okay.
a movie that will be brought up today. So,
Magnolia at the time, did you have like the Tom Cruise ponytail?
no,
Like
I
the
just
hair
had the
like
Tom Cruise mentality.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
and
was
you
waiting on Josh to make that joke, actually.
yeah.
He was gonna
And
make it
it-
himself. I
yeah.
know.
Seduce and destroy. I had that written on my mirror.
You still have it tattooed on your back, right?
Well, I got it removed, but
Oh, okay.
that's a painful process. I will
I
say.
know. Yeah, that's a couple of
Lower back,
weeks.
right?
Yeah.
I was going to say the only thing more painful than getting a tramp stamp is getting the tramp stamp removed.
Yeah.
There you go. There you
It
go.
worked. It worked though. You can't deny the efficacy of that.
No, but now we all know it was there. That's for sure. Sophia, where are you at
Yeah.
right now?
2015 was a really busy year for me because I graduated from college and started grad school in the fall. So I didn't know anyone when I moved to Vermont. So I saw a lot of movies. I saw pretty much everything that you could, I think, in that year. And I wasn't writing professionally anywhere yet, but this was really when I was in the thick of my Oscar movie obsession, where I thought I'm going to cover this in some way, shape, or form one day, whatever that looks like. So, followed this year very closely. I think there are a lot of movies I really like from this year and a lot of rewatchables too.
Yeah, it's a really, upon retrospect, looking at it, because that's what we're doing here, we're doing a retrospective, this is a pretty interesting, spread out
I thought
movie
it's a
year.
pretty good year.
Yeah, it's a pretty good year.
Especially since I like several of the movies that people hate. It makes it even better.
I think it's good because there's small dramas and indie films that clearly got a lot of love and that we all love. There's a lot of big blockbusters this year that are very popular.
Great
And
year
like
for
Sophia said, very rewatchable. And when I was going down the list and seeing all these films, I was like, wow, this really is like an underrated kind of year because we don't talk about it nearly as much. And I think the Oscars, we'll talk about that portion of it here shortly, did their way of trying to get that all, covered. And I think that's what we're here to do today is to make it better. But anybody have thoughts just overall about the year and a memorable maybe theater going experience or something? Karen, do you have like a favorite memory from going to the theater during this time?
I'm gonna say it's so basic, but I remember the experience of going to The Force Awakens. Having been someone who grew up with Star Wars before there were prequels, getting to just be in a crowded audience watching a new Star Wars movie as an adult, it was interesting, but it's also it was such a fun movie, and that was such a fun experience, and that still sticks with me regardless of where the franchise went later.
Yeah.
That experience of getting to enjoy a new Star Wars movie for the first time in a very long time with a lot of people. I enjoyed it because I wasn't working at the theater.
That's probably fair. I just remember that being like the year buildup. The trailer came out at the Thanksgiving the year before.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a fever dream. The idea that we were going to have more Star Wars. It felt like after the prequels, we were never going to touch this thing again. And yeah, everyone was pretty positive and polite in my screening for that because they all wanted everyone to shut the hell up and enjoy this because you never know if we're going to have this again. And now we're at a point where we want everyone to shut the hell up because we don't want to talk about Star Wars because it's been oversaturated and destroyed by a pretty toxic fan base and everything. And but we had hope, literally at that time, a new hope for Star Wars.
No, don't.
Yeah,
no.
we did.
Great.
Yeah,
we
we
did
did.
because
Don't do
that's
that. Don't do
basically the
that.
movie.
Great
So-
work.
Don't do that.
Great work.
Yeah, it is that movie.
Oh, Josh throwing shade over
Literally
here.
it.
I mean, we had a new hope in the franchise. That's all I'm saying, guys. But anybody else have like a memorable experience?
I mean,
I remember-
there's nothing quite like experiencing true laughter in a theater. So the Room screening, I remember for me was just like a laugh riot. No, for me it really was. It was Fury Road. I just remember being in Fury Road, and I would say that there were really no expectations because there were a lot of people who had probably never seen a Mad Max movie, and George Miller hadn't really done anything like that in a while, and the just sheer energy and viscerality and enthusiasm in that theater was unlike anything else, certainly in this year and probably in years prior.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I remember two big movie screening related things from this year. The first one was obviously The Force Awakens,
Mm-hmm.
getting to take my mom, who was like an OG, waited in the lines around the block to see the or first Star Wars multiple times person, taking her to see it in the IMAX screen at Lincoln Center, and just we were in our Star Wars t-shirts and like just we had a blast, the two of us. But the other thing that I remember with particular joy because of the experience was the Hateful Eight Roadshow,
Yep.
where
Ooh,
they
yeah,
screened
yeah,
it
yeah.
in 35 or 7, it was 70.
70.
70.
Yeah.
They
70.
screened it in 70 and they had like the programs and everything. That was something that was like, this is gonna catch on, like they're gonna do this for the rest of his movies at the very least. And we're gonna have a renaissance of this shit, and that did not happen.
Yeah.
Can we go around and say who the centerfold, which character you got as the centerfold at the roadshow? Do you remember? Because every program had a different centerfold.
I think mine was Tim Roth. I think.
Oh, all right.
I got Damian Bashir.
You got Damon Bashir?
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh,
think mine was Goggins.
I think I had
That's a
Goggins
good one.
too.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
I'm trying to remember.
We're in
That
a Goggins
definitely, though,
moment right now.
I think
that
I
was
just
a-
I think I just had Sam Jackson. Sorry, Sophia.
Mhm.
Mm.
No, I was just gonna say that was one of my theater experiences I really remember too, because my dad and I went to see it together, and when we left the theater, it was like there was so much snow outside, and it just felt like so perfect for
You
that
got like
movie,
snowed in. Yeah.
which we'll talk about later. I think it's an endurance test for
This
sure.
was this around the time of Snowden?
No, we're not
Jesus.
doing that, Jay.
Don't
Jesus
know.
Christ.
Other memorable screenings, though, I will say, seeing Carol in the theater, I just love that movie so much, and we'll talk about it today. But that just felt like such a beautiful movie, and I love the performances. And seeing Phoenix in a theater, that converted me
Ooh, I
really
did not do
to being a Christian Petzold fan for life.
I thought you were about to say that converted me to being a Christian for life.
Oh, it went the opposite way, actually.
Oh, okay.
So.
Silence the next year. I remember obviously Force Awakens. I think I saw that at the only ticket I could get that at for me and my wife was 10:35 at the Regal where she was by where she was living at in Austin, because the ticket system crashed and the Alamo Drafthouse where we usually saw films were just like, don't even try. I remember seeing Mad Max Fury Road, which is a film we'll probably talk about maybe a little bit today. I remember seeing that 3 weeks before it came out and having like a very advanced screening of that, and forever changed from that experience. I remember seeing actually a midnight screening of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation and not being able to go to sleep because I was on such an adrenaline ride, because that movie fucking rules. And yeah, I mean, I remember the Hateful Eight Roadshow because we went on Christmas Day night, like we did with Django Unchained, but instead, my wife and I, we also took my in-laws. And if you know anything about where the intermission hits for that, I'm just gonna say my father-in-law and mother-in-law looked at me and went, "What the hell is going on?" And I went, "There's a second act. It should be better." And then they liked the second act more than the surprise of the final first act. But I remember, I just remember seeing like a ton of these. I remember I remember one of the funnier moments was seeing Mockingjay Part 2. And it was the week it came out. And hear me out. For a movie that was like a big franchise, I saw that in a room with 5 people on a Saturday afternoon. And people walked out. And so I ended up being like one of 3 people to see this giant movie in a pretty packed like theater. You know what I mean? Like that theater wasn't like run down or anything. But it was always one of the funniest things. I'm like, this is like one of the big franchises on the world, and I saw it with like 4 people. Like it was like some indie film.
One
on the
thing that is
weekend.
cool is that Mockingjay is what you could call any podcast where I'm on with Josh.
God damn it! All right,
Oh my
And this is
God.
about
You were really in
part
full
5
swing
or
today.
6. Yeah, I'm coming in hot.
I think Karen's like done with you today. I think you see the disapproval.
He is.
No, it's really funny because I'm sitting here listening to you guys and I'm thinking, why did I sign up for this year? Because some of the movies that y'all loved, I didn't. And I knew what I was getting into, and I'm not going to fight over any of this, but I'm just like, what? Why? I shouldn't be here.
No, you
did you
should
see
be.
me on the Ordinary People episode?
Here we go again.
I didn't say that I loved all. I said they were memorable experiences, Karen, at the theater.
Mhm.
Let's just be clear.
No, I know, but I know where this conversation is going to go over the next couple of hours, and I feel like I'm just going to be raining on everyone's parade.
It's all right.
You may have an
Apologies.
ally
I don't
in
think
That's-
Trumbo is
Yeah, you never know, Karen.
You never know.
That's
Man,
true.
I
That's
can't
true.
wait to hear about Trumbo. Yeah, that's for sure. All right.
On that,
Before,
Ryan, though,
Yes.
there's one movie though that I'm surprised you didn't mention, and maybe there's a reason for that. We have a Bond movie this year.
yes.
I think there's a reason that didn't come up.
I know, but you know what? I will say this: when that movie started, and I got
Man.
the gun barrel right at the beginning, and like for the first hour of that movie, I'm having a blast.
Me
I
too,
actually do
Josh.
think it is, of like traditionally speaking, the best of Daniel Craig, where he's just kind of being the old format of Bond.
Mhm.
But after that first hour, it takes a turn that I don't really support. But in the beginning, for the first hour or so, I was like, I'm watching the best Bond movie in a while.
I weirdly like still don't hate it nearly as much as like Quantum of Solace. But it's also I know it's rough, but I don't care because like it feels like a movie just made for Bond fans and not like
The first hour does.
general audiences. I think the whole thing is.
Well,
Well, I mean, they dip into like massive nostalgia with the Blofeld stuff.
Well,
And
they go
even
they go into like legacy stuff.
Yeah.
It almost is
Yeah.
for Bond fans, but that's almost the worst thing about it.
Yeah.
no, but it's still like contemporary to the moment,
sure.
though, like what Marvel is doing. I would actually argue that is not for Bond fans. That's for like Marvel people
That's
who
fair.
love that stuff. And
I'm gonna-
apparently Austin Powers, because the twist is basically from Goldmember.
It pretty much.
My
Which is funny how
Fasha.
no, Jay, don't do it. I'm gonna ask you guys real quick. Domestic box office. I think it's actually really fascinating. Domestic box office. The top 10 of the year. Do you guys? You can all help each other out on this one.
Inside Out,
Inside Out was number 4 at the domestic box office.
Star Wars,
Force
Force
Awakens.
Star Wars.
That was number
Yeah.
1.
Jurassic World.
That was number
Yeah.
2. Yeah.
And obviously Tangerine.
No.
Well, there was
Just-
an event. There
just
was an
missed the cut.
Avengers movie this year, right?
Mockingjay.
Mockingjay.
yes, that was
Avengers.
number 7. Avengers,
Avengers,
Age of Ultron was number 3.
What about The Martian?
Yeah.
The Martian was number 8.
Martian
Furious
What about-
7.
Furious 7 was
Oh,
number
yeah.
5.
Did
Yeah.
Creed make it?
Creed did not make it.
Mm.
Did San
Mission
Andreas
Impossible.
make it?
Wait,
Oh,
whoa.
Minions.
Mission Impossible
Minions.
was number 11 at the domestic box office.
A crime.
The number
Truly.
10 film beat it by $5 million. Minions was number 6. So you're missing.
Perfect 2.
That was number 12, Jay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm missing number 9 and number 10.
Spy.
Spy
I
was
wish.
I wish.
When Tom
number
Hawk-
27, Karen.
Oh, wait, Ant-Man?
Ant-Man was number 14.
Gaspar Noé's Love.
Ah, just again, missed the cut.
Oh, wait, Ted 2.
Ted 2 did not make.
What about the Kenneth Branagh Cinderella?
That was number 9. That is correct.
Mm,
Oh, yeah.
$201 million at the domestic box office.
It's wild.
It's when people wanted to see Disney live action movies.
Was it Bond? Was it
Tomorrowland.
Bond?
Did they though? They
Was it
did.
Spectre?
Spectre was number 10.
Okay.
Does anybody want to guess what number 13 was?
Bridge of Spies?
I want to guess what number 27 was.
It's pretty. No,
Was it
it's
50. Was it 50 Shades of Grey?
no. Number 13 in between Pitch Perfect 2 and Ant-Man is Josh's favorite movie of the year, The Revenant.
I was gonna guess The
Revenant.
Revenant.
Oh my God, The Revenant.
I knew that made a
much
lot of money. I did.
It did make a lot of money.
The Revenant
The Power
made
of Leo.
The Revenant at the worldwide box office made $533 million.
That is.
I remember
crazy.
that was like the box office story at the end of the year. It was like, well, we know anything Leonardo DiCaprio does because he made people go see this art movie.
And I truly
Like-
believe it was part of the narrative of this is going to get him the Oscar. I really
think
do
so?
believe that is what propelled it.
Exactly. Yep. But
I
it
think.
also,
I mean, who had a better year than Domhnall Gleeson? I think he's the draw there.
well, at the end of Brooklyn, he
He
didn't
had a
have
rough
a
time in Ex Machina.
Yeah, he had a rough
did.
man. Yeah,
And
he really
Star Wars.
he
Man,
did
was
really have a great
everywhere
year.
in
Shit.
2015. Yeah,
We were buying that stock.
I said that as a joke, but
He was everywhere. No, you're not wrong.
The
Jay.
joke's
indie
on
darling
you, Jay.
blockbuster superstar.
All right. Well, let's talk about the below the line categories real quick before we get into our game. Josh, a lot of interesting stuff in the below the line categories. I kind of feel I know where Josh is going to go with this, but Josh, you want to kick us off? Talk about a category you want to highlight here from this year, from this Oscars, which, by the way, was a pretty big Oscars, considering that this was Chris Rock hosting. This was in light of the Oscars So White controversies. Thought his opening, regardless of what you think of Chris Rock, I thought it was kind of like perfect and sort of surmising and the problems that was going on at the time and whether those have been fixed or not from this year still remains to be seen. But it was pretty tense leading up to this Oscars. I remember. But anyway, Josh, for you.
Well, and also this Oscars, you could draw the direct the line to The Slap.
Yes.
Because it kind of started here.
Oh,
Yep,
interesting.
it really- yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I forgot. I
Yeah.
can't wait for this to be a Variety article tomorrow.
Wow.
But
The free
that's
Slap origins.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, didn't like Will Smith just do like an album where he like literally kept, it's like, are we going to be talking about the Slap for like the next 15 years between these two guys? Like, they
Probably.
keep bringing
As long
it
as it
up.
keeps getting clicks. They
Oh
will.
my God, it really does.
When does Will Smith's thing expire? When is he allowed to
It
go
was a
back?
10-year ban,
So it'll
Yeah.
be
So we still got some time.
2031.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, but actually, the category I want to talk about is best visual effects.
Oh, okay. Not where
And
I
the
thought.
reason is because I have always said to myself that if I was ever given, that question we always have is if you could look at one Oscar category and find out what the vote totals were, every
Yeah.
single time my answer is best visual effects 2015. Because I just feel like it is weird that Ex Machina won this award against 3 Best Picture nominees and Star Wars. Like,
Mhm.
I just feel like that is a miracle for that to happen. And, you would think that with the dominance that Mad Max had that night, that it probably would have upset. A lot of people thought it was going to be Star Wars. It had the precursors and it was the biggest movie. It's just so weird that this very small film took down the giants in this category. And I am fascinated to know how close that margin was because it just seems so mind-boggling to me. And I love that win. I like all the nominees in that category, honestly. They would all
Pretty
make
stacked year.
deserving winners. But for Ex Machina to pull off that upset, it boggles my mind. And I would love to know what the margin of victory was for that movie.
It's
This
probably
is one of my proudest Oscar predicting moments because I predicted Ex Machina to win.
It's probably one of the coolest awards that we've had in the last decade. That with like the sound for the zone of interest, where it's like, yeah, if that could happen, if the Academy could be that cool and go for something against what they usually tend to award in this
Where
category.
it's not about most, it's about best.
Yeah. Well, it's also just, again, the competition it's going up against are blockbusters in terms of scale. And so
Honestly, there's not a wrong winner there. They just picked
No.
the coolest one.
Mhm.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
which is very rare. Karen, is there a category you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with costume design. It's some great, beautiful costumes this year, and the winner ends up being Mad Max Fury Road. You have Sandy Powell competing against herself. and you
That's
have
cool.
Jacqueline West. Yeah, I mean it's such a great lineup. And the Mad Max Fury Road, the work that goes into showing this world that is still the same as the franchise that we've seen, but there's differences. It's a different time, and she really pays attention to that. And so I think that's a great win. I have feelings about that movie that are not what everybody else thinks, but I think that this is a great win here, and I think that it is overall a well-crafted movie. But then also just looking at how it beats two Sandy Powell films and Jacqueline West and Paco Delgado. I mean, that's a great category.
The Danish Girl, Karen, thoughts on the Danish Girls?
I
Costumes?
have no thoughts on. I think the costumes are beautiful, but I haven't seen the movie. So
Beautiful gowns, lovely gowns, essentially.
Literally.
Literally.
did not watch that film.
You don't have to, because it sucks.
That's why I've never watched it.
I watched it for the first time for this pod.
Jay's got thoughts. I can't wait for him to
talk
get
It
his
is Tom
definitive
Hooper's
take.
worst movie.
We'll
It
talk
is
about it.
way
That's
worse.
saying
That's
something.
saying a lot.
I know,
actually don't
but
know
it
about
is his
that.
worst movie by far.
It is.
I agree. I would rather watch Cats.
100%. I would rather
100%.
watch Cats. Cats is way more entertaining to watch than the
Jay,
Danish.
you don't
Well,
want to be a
that's
Jellicle
probably
cat,
true.
buddy?
Well, Cats might be accidentally more fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's a worse.
That's true.
movie.
Fair.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still, it counts.
Yeah.
Jay, what kind of cat in that movie would you be? Think about that while Dan's
Oh my
talking.
god.
Dan, your
Yeah.
category.
Remind me, sorry, are we just talking about?
We're just
a
talking about
great
an
category?
individual, just an individual category that you saw from
standout
below the
category.
line that you were like, this is a great year for that category.
Okay. So
Yeah.
great year for this category.
Or for you personally that you liked it. You know what I mean?
No, the one that I love this year is best cinematography. First of all, you have a lineup of all legends: Lubeski, Lockman, Richardson, Seal, Deakins, and all of those movies look incredible. Like, we can argue about the winner. I am happy, as much as Chivo is like my god of camera everything. I don't love that win, but because I think that they just like, I don't know. The cinematography, as beautiful as it is, I think works against the movie in a lot of ways, but that's just me. But you can't deny that it looks freaking gorgeous, as do all of these movies in their own way. I love the way Richardson makes use of that super wide format in Hateful Eight, which is in confined spaces, so you wouldn't even think it would work nearly as well as it does, but it does. And I mean, obviously, Carol, come on, from the opening shot of that movie, I was like, this masterpiece. And Sicario, Deakins just going ham in the desert with like,
It's
come
good
on.
stuff.
And then John Seal in Fury Road, like the same thing. Like the way the camera moves in Fury Road is just incredible, as are some of the images that he captures. I love this category, and I honestly would have been fine with any of these movies winning.
It's a
Just
strong
about.
crop.
It's a strong crop for sure. I'm going to go next. I'm going to talk about best original song. Because somebody,
I knew that was going to come up.
somebody's got to talk about it.
I'm sure you figured I was going to be the one to talk about it.
I thought you were,
but-
Josh, but I'm
Yeah.
glad you handed the baton off to me to talk about this. Listen, I think the performances are fine. Like Simple Song number 3 and Mentere, like those songs don't exist. They never did.
Well, they didn't get played on the Oscar
and they didn't
telecast,
get played
remember?
either. Earn It from 50 Shades of Grey. It was actually a pretty
Good
interesting.
song.
It's a good
It's all
song.
right.
Good performance. But I mean, we all know what I'm going to talk about, which is Writings on the Wall, Till It Happens to You, which is Lady Gaga, Diane Warren. Pretty big Oscar moment. That's where we get Chris Pine crying.
No, Chris Pine is the year
Was
before.
it? No, I thought
Yeah,
he
that's
cried
Glory.
a second time again. I thought he was in both, actually.
The one that people remember is the year before during
I
Glory.
feel like he was there back-to-back years, and everybody was crying in the theater after.
Maybe,
at
but I'm
this
just
one.
saying that when you
And they
say
kept-
Chris Pine crying in the
Let's
Oscars,
go to the tape.
they
We'll be
go to
right back.
Glory.
We're gonna go right to the tape. Pause the episode. I just remember everybody being absolutely shocked when Sam Smith won this Oscars. Their speech, one of the dumbest speeches in Oscar history. being like they're the first gay person to ever win an Oscar when their literal idol is Elton John. Very funny.
That's not actually what they said.
Pretty
but,
much.
Like,
let's paraphrase.
look,
you know?
okay, look. I'm gonna say that first of all, I kind of stick up for Writings on the Wall. I get why people don't like it. I get why the sort of vocals of Sam Smith are not for everybody, but I like the music to that song. I even like the lyrics. I just think that the execution vocally is not going to be for everybody. But overall, I actually do like the song. And I feel like people do pick apart that speech a lot more than is necessary. Like, clearly, they didn't expect to win. They were overwhelmed. Like, they did not say great things. Pretty stupid, I grant you. But, like, it was in the moment. Just move on. People just don't like the win. And I think that's what fuels most of it. But I don't mind it. But I understand I'm in a very, select minority of people that don't have issues with that song or that win, but I get it at the same time.
It's not actually
seen The Hunting Ground.
I did see it. Yeah.
Yet
Sophia
another
has.
of Diane Warren's nominated films
that
does
was
not
my
exist.
thing, you guys. If Diane Warren, if the rightful winner happened this year, you might have been spared from 4 Good Days, Breakthrough, Tell It Like a Woman, The Six Triple Eight.
None of these movies exist, Sophia. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just making up titles.
But it's actually not Josh, that's a fair point, but it's not actually the biggest grievance I have with Writings on the Wall. Is my grievance stands from also this song even existing in the first place. Because of the fact that the Broccoli's and Michael G. Wilson had a song ready to go for this movie.
This is the Tom York song.
They-
wasn't it?
No.
No, this wasn't the Tom York.
Yes, it was, Jay. You're right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
Josh,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not here to. I'm not here for this. Sam Smith stole Radiohead's Oscar, and I will never forgive this. This was probably going to be the closest they ever. Bond songs were winning like out the yin yang at this time.
No. Well, at this
We
moment,
just had
they had one
Adele
song.
We've had
winning
win
things
50
out the
Adele,
yin-yang, not
this one,
Bond
and now Billie
songs.
Eilish. We
Like-
It would
clearly
have started
show
it would have kept the trend.
it would have
Yeah.
kept the trend. The fact that this song, which also it wasn't a really good performance on the Oscars either, it was pretty pitchy.
No, it wasn't.
It's not a terrible Bond song, I don't think. I mean, it's not one of the best.
It's pretty generic. It's trying to be
It's
Adele.
not Tom York.
Yeah.
No.
And literally that song is called Spectre. It's literally called Spectre. And they just didn't even use it. It's bullshit.
I think
one
he
of-
should have won for Suspiria that year.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
For that song. Suspirium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just bad all around.
There you go.
Rough. Anyway, Sophia.
Well, I was actually going to go to cinematography because I think top to bottom, this is such a great category. I'm more of a fan of Chivo when he works with Terrence Malick, of course.
Yeah, that was not his
with
best achievement of the year.
Yes.
Or Cuarón.
Or Quaron, yes, of course. So this win I don't love, even though I do really like him, but I would have given it to Ed Lockman. I feel like that's just stunning work in Carol. But all of these nominees I think are really different too. And you have really, really major DPs working. I mean, even like I don't love Sicario. Everybody knows how I feel about Denis Villeneuve, but I think Deakins, that's some of his strongest work to Mad Max Fury Road. I mean, you can think of some iconic images from that movie. And Dan, what you said about Robert Richardson for The Hateful Eight, just making use of sometimes we're just watching them in that wide format, just sit in rooms. And it's pretty amazing. So I would go cinematography.
Jay.
I can't believe score has not come up.
I was going to mention score if I didn't,
yeah.
if Josh had mentioned the original song, but
obviously
talk about it, buddy.
This is the lone Oscar, except for the honorary Oscar, I guess, the lone competitive Oscar for Ennio Morricone. It almost feels like Tarantino partly made this movie to be like, we're going to get you one, bud. We're going to do it. We're near the finish line here, and we're going to get you an Oscar. And that score is remarkable. I guess the other thing I will point out is I like every one of these scores a lot. I think if there's one that people might have a little bit of difficulty with, it's probably Bridge of Spies, but I'm going to talk about Bridge of Spies a lot today, and I think that Thomas Newman score is fantastic. And obviously Spielberg's number one partner in film is John Williams, who did an incredible job with the Force Awakens score. Johan Johansson, the late Johan Johansson, I think that is a score that you would never just listen to on its own, but in the context of that movie, I think it's incredible. And then the Carter Burwell score from Carol is kind of the opposite, where it works incredibly well in the movie and just listening to it while you're writing or studying or going on a walk or whatever it may be. But I think that Hateful Eight, the theme is indelible. It's one you can just recall off the top of your head, and it's just awesome that he got his competitive Oscar for the Hateful Eight.
I rewatched Bridge of Spies. We'll talk about it as we do throughout this episode. That Newman score was actually incredible, and I think the thing was, Jay, people kind of might have been like, is this just John Williams? But then when I realized that because
also Newman can get into his new, like, you can kind of be like, oh yeah, Newman's doing his Newman thing.
Yeah.
Which is sort of is here, but I think it's a little different.
Yeah, this time especially, he was getting nominated for like everything.
Yeah. But I actually thought like it was for that movie, which is, that movie has to move, and it moves at a really, really confident pace. I thought
the cool thing about Bridge of Spies is that everything about it is good.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
But no, I mean, like, yeah, Williams's work on The Force Awakens is great, and an extension from his work from the other Star Wars films, but then also like the introduction to all these new characters, and yeah. But one of the best moments of the night on the Oscars was Morricone and Williams sitting together, and John Williams being absolutely excited that Ennio Morricone won the Oscar, and like these two longtime friends, but also these masters of their craft, being there to celebrate one another. And it was just one of those things, like, you can't create that. Every time the Oscars create a moment like that, it feels super fake. When it happens in the moment, it's a special moment. And it's one of those that, regardless of what you think of the Hateful Eight and Morricone, just that relationship there of these two that have pretty much made the soundtrack to cinema for like the last.
Those are arguably the two
years.
Guys.
Yeah, it's pretty much those guys.
Capital G guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we are here to do now. I shoulda, coulda, woulda game. Team's going to come together. We're going to talk about the top 8 categories here at the Academy Awards for the 88th Academy Awards. If you've never listened to one of these before, you should go back and listen to some other ones. But if this is your first time, what we'll all do as a group is we'll go through the nominees. We have up to 2 eliminations for every category except Best Picture. For Best Picture, since this was a group of 8, we will replace up to 4. We do not have to replace all of those if we don't want to. We haven't in the past. But then once we have gotten rid of the films or the performances that we want, then we will put in our own as a group. Then we will vote on that. And sometimes the winner stays, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we have some new winners. We also have the one time a year nuclear option, which is the nuke to erase a category of all 5 of the nominees.
Right, it's called the Oppenheimer.
It's called the Oppenheimer, yes. I'm just trying to be, a little sensitive. But it is on the table still. We have not used it in the first 2 this year. It is on the table. I feel like there might be a discussion about using it today, but also remember we have many more retrospectives.
It's only April
this year. It's only April, guys. But if you want to use it, you're more.
There's one category that's close.
It's close. Mm-hmm. It's close.
There's at least one performance in there that I'm willing to save, but there's one category in particular that would be very close to just wiping the slate clean.
It's rough. But anyway, are you guys ready? Ready to do this?
Ready.
Ready.
Jay, could you please read?
I get to go first.
Could you please read the nominees for Best Adapted Screenplay?
Best Adapted Screenplay: The Big Short, which was your winner, Brooklyn, Carol, The Martian, and Room. An interesting crop there.
Very interesting crop. We didn't talk about The Big Short yet. Probably because it's like everybody's favorite movie, and we wanted to save that conversation, right? But
totally, yeah.
It totally like everyone's.
That movie has been dragged down by the other movies that McKay has made. When that movie came out, people liked it.
No, they did. I mean, it was a fairly decent hit. It made 134 million on a $50 million budget. That's pretty good. But that win did sort of impulse everything afterwards for Adam McKay to kind of double down on his style. You are right, Jay. It's one of those, like, he's already flown too close to the sun, and now we're all suffering the consequences for it.
He was encouraged to do something that he ended up not being very good at, perhaps.
Let's everybody start saying which ones they would rather get rid of. Like, just go for it, guys.
I do actually think The Big Short can stay. I will say that. I might be in the minority, but I have two others. So
that's the only one that wouldn't make my personal lineup even if I extended it to like 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah, The Big Short was
really like
a cut for me. Yeah. Obviously, though, I'm just like, I am not a McKay fan at all. I didn't like this when it came out. This was one where I saw it and I did not enjoy it. Everyone around me did. I remember that very clearly. But this of the group it's not my style. I think it's overwrought a bit.
It is obnoxious for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I will say, in slight defense of The Big Short, and I am totally fine with removing that from this category. That's actually the one that I had on my cut list too. But what I will say is that it took a very complex situation that everybody experienced and actually explained in terms that we could all understand what actually happened and what the industry did to us. So I think that in that it is successful, and I think that it's not a terrible movie. But I do agree. I think that what it did and what the message Adam McKay took from winning here gave us some other movies that I would
the best movies of the decade.
It's like when Al Pacino won for Scent of a Woman, and he was like, "Oh, I'll just do this for the rest of my life.
I'm going to do hoo-ah for a decade."
Exactly.
I would cut The Big Short for me personally. I liked the movie at the time, and I rewatched it recently, and I could barely get through it. It is a very clippy movie, though. Like, it is if you're watching on TikTok or if you're watching on YouTube short, like their shorts, it is in a vacuum, like a great clip movie.
I think it's a propulsive movie.
But the problem is that if you watch it in full, like the editing of it, the adaptation, Karen's right. Like, it's a very complex novel too. These are big talking points about, the collapse of the United States economy. But I mean, I also have a movie like Margin Call, which is a movie I like more, that is kind of talks about this in, I think, the same sort of terms without being extremely obnoxious about it. And that's the other thing too, is like, I think of Margot Robbie in a bathtub and
I mean, yes,
Anthony Bourdain making
just been a YouTube video,
a soup, what I mean? Like, and
that's my thing. Like, you see those scenes and you remember those scenes. Yeah. But I remember even like a week out from seeing that movie for the first time, I'm like, I remember that scene and that it was supposed to be explaining something to me, but I do not remember what
it was
supposed to be explaining to me. And I think that's the issue that the movie runs into. It has a lot of really clever ideas, but they evaporate the moment you leave the theater.
The other movie I would eliminate is Room.
Have you read the novel of Room?
No.
Okay, so if you've read the novel, you would absolutely keep it in.
Would I? Okay.
That is an incredible. That and Brooklyn are really incredible adaptations. Like, Brooklyn, you would not believe it, but reading that book, like, Eilish is kind of unlikable, and they completely rewrite her basically in the movie to be so sympathetic. And the Room is very similar in that way. Like, you should not have been able to adapt this book at all, and she did an incredible job.
I would like to bring The Martian to the table.
Oh, Jay.
Yeah.
That was on my cut list too. It was that and The Big
So
Short
entertaining,
is the two.
That is the novel I have read.
The crap out of The Martian.
Yeah, The Martian's good.
I'm a Martian skeptic, I suppose. I did read the novel and I liked it a lot, but I liked it. It is sort of in the same vein of what Dan was talking about, or honestly, The Big Short, which is a very technical novel that they turn into kind of pure popcorn entertainment. The Martian, the book, is super technical. Like most of the text in it is about metrics and scientific evaluations and things of that nature. And I think The Martian just becomes kind of weightless as a film. I just don't. I don't love that movie, and certainly in relation to the novel, it is not what I would have wanted an adaptation of that novel to be.
Yeah.
So
I have also read the novel, and I thought it was the best adaptation that we could get from a book like that. So,
yeah.
Look, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just telling you what I think.
We
Well,
also don't have to cut two.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to.
Yeah.
I will say it does sound like, I mean, we're all in agreements that Carol should stay. So let's
absolutely.
And I think
Brooklyn should stay.
Yeah, and then I think Brooklyn should stay.
Undeniable.
Yeah, Brooklyn's a good movie. Like,
what I will say, just going back to the room conversation really quickly, is I agree with Dan that it's a remarkable adaptation for what that book is. I did not like that book at all. It felt like such a gimmick, and there are so many things where as I was reading it, I was just like, this writer has never been around a 5-year-old, because this is not how 5-year-olds write, think, or talk. And I think that similar to my feelings on The Martian, I think that the movie that we get in the script is the best possible adaptation of that book.
Which is funny because she wrote the adaptation from her own book.
I know.
So maybe
I also don't love the movie in general either.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the movie. Everybody was very like, oh, it's so emotional and everything, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I was pretty like left like, it's fine. Like this feels like a news story that happens at the 5 o'clock news, and then I move on to sports and weather. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how the movie felt to me. And I wasn't very moved by the adaptation of it, and I also think the direction of it's pretty, just pretty bland. So it felt like
showing your hand early.
Yeah, it felt like a Lifetime movie.
Well, you can already tell that I am very much in disagreement with you on this one, because I do like Room a lot, and I actually think when we talk about Best Director, I think the direction actually elevates that movie quite a great deal. We'll table that conversation when we get to it, but I still really like the movie, and I like the script, and if it's coming down between it or The Martian to stay, I would pick Room.
Okay.
And again, we don't have to pick.
We don't have to pick it. We could table
it
this.
Sounds like Big Short is out, and let's litigate that one, and then figure out if we like another one more than those two.
Yeah,
I would definitely just take The Big Short out. I have no problem leaving The Martian out, but I'd rather keep it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and my thing is, because I said, a little bit ago that I feel like I'm going to be very much not on the same page on a lot of these movies, and Room is one of those that I had already accepted that, like, this is going to do well today, and I'm fine with that, even though I personally don't love it as much as
I don't think it's going to do that well, Karen. So
we'll see, but I'm fine with leaving it here, because I do think that as an adaptation, it's a very well done script.
Okay, so we got in red The Big Short, and we've got 2 yellows. We'll figure that out per conversation. We'll table that here
I think
first.
The Martian is in, it sounds like. I think maybe Room.
I think Room's got 2
passionate. I thought that was the opposite way.
Oh, okay, then maybe it's the opposite way. It's The Martian.
Well,
I would say The Martian.
What else are we?
Let's do some options.
Let's do the replacements first.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs.
Someone had to say it.
Did they though?
I mean, that's
40,
Here's the thing about Steve
years
Jobs, though, is that it is a good script, except everything with his family.
Yes.
All of that stuff just weighs
that is the
movie
last
down
third of that
so
movie.
Bad.
Yeah.
It has the Sorkin thing where it prescribes like one thing to be what drives an entire person's existence, which is what they do in The Social Network, a movie I adore, Moneyball, a movie I like, Molly's Game, and it's about, largely it's about
even being Ricardos in a way.
It's being the Ricardos.
Yeah, your favorite movie, buddy.
But the whole thing about Steve Jobs' entire existence was driven by his disillusionment from his daughter is just like, I mean, it is the most Sorkin thing ever, and it is kind of annoying.
But Jay,
But it is a
it's gonna
moment
make
to
her the
moment.
iPod though.
That movie
You know?
hits.
It's got the best of Sorkin and the worst of Sorkin. Because everything that Jay said is absolutely right. But then there's those scenes where, I mean, obviously the walk and talk. Obviously, I think like the scenes between Daniels and Fassbender are really great. I think Winslet's pretty good. Rogan as Wozniak has great moments as well.
Yeah.
Like they all have great
Stuhlbarg.
individual
Yeah.
moments. But oh yeah, Stuhlbarg's great too.
Oh yeah,
But-
there's a ton of great moments, and then Catherine Waterston.
Yikes.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of like a
Sorry,
bunch of great
Kathy.
moments that add up to less than the sum of their parts.
Exactly. And I think that this is not this is a shot at him. I think somebody like Fincher was able to navigate through the usual issues of a Sorkin script, and Bennett Miller as well too. And I don't think Danny Boyle was able to do that as well. I think this sort of just kind of like, for Danny Boyle was sort of place the camera and let Sorkin's dialogue be the one that drives the whole thing forward. And then if you're doing that, you're pretty much at the hand of that script, which can have very great highs and then can have some moments where you're just like, God damn it, can you shut up? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
That's the Aaron Sorkin experience.
exactly. There you go. That's the newsroom in a lot of ways. You know, this is to me, I think like when I think of Steve Jobs, I'm like, oh, this is like the precursor to the newsroom because they came out right around the same time. So, which is a show that you're like,
I mean, The West Wing is the precursor to the newsroom.
oh yeah, no, for sure. But he was at least a good writer on that, you know, and
45 years.
45 years
Yeah.
is great.
45 years and Phoenix were the two that I had just because of the changes made to the source material as well. 45 years coming from a short story, and that movie I think is just, the script is so beautifully written. And with Phoenix, I know that Petzold made a lot of changes from that book. I haven't read it, so I can't judge that entirely, but just looking at how he changed things like setting and even details with her character. I feel like that movie, the script works really well. So those would be the two I would throw out.
The other one that I love
Mm.
is the Justin Kurzel Macbeth. I think that's
Oh.
a really, really good adaptation.
That'll come up for me later too.
Shakespeare. Oh, I hope so.
I just think of that as like pure visuals. I mean, that's what I remember about that movie.
The visuals are
Uh,
great, and I
is a
really
good
like the way
adaptation,
that they
though.
adapted the story, adapted the language, etc. I think they, took this play that can feel kind of remote and kind of exotic almost in a way with the magic and all that stuff, and makes it really accessible and action driven in a way
Yeah.
that it sometimes feels on stage, but not always. And especially for Shakespeare, it feels very, very action driven. And I think that's impressive. But the other one is Chirac. Spike Lee doing Lysistrata and absolutely crushing it. I love that we got so many classic theater adaptations this year that actually like feel contemporary and have something to say and are full of fire, and I love them.
I think if I was putting together my own five, I would put in Creed.
I was just going to say Creed. I think
I think
Creed
Creed is a great
I remember when the announcement for
reinterpretation of
Creed
that
came
world.
out.
Yeah.
And when that
so
announcement,
stupid.
it was the dumbest thing. It was
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? This sounds stupid. Like this is like a CinemaCon, Comic-Con announcement that you're like, nope. And it's not like that Rocky is like this, I've got a like precious franchise that I've got to hold near and dear to my, it just sounded like a bad idea. It sounded like a cash grab. And that's not to say that Coogler wasn't a very promising director with Fruitvale Station and that Michael B. Jordan wasn't great in that film, but it's just, it sounds very dumb. And then you watch that film and you're like, holy hell, this really rules. This, like, I forgot to mention in screenings, I remember seeing Creed in the theater Thanksgiving weekend, and Robert Rodriguez, the director, was in front of me with his family. And the moment when the final round starts and the Rocky score builds up, and it's been sort of like just building to this moment, and I could see that him and his family's hands just move up with the fists in the air and the audience went crazy for this thing. And there's so many but it's also beyond just like a great boxing movie. It's a very different sort of human story between Adonis and Rocky. Unlike it kind of harkens back to the first film, but it's not like almost like The Force Awakens where that feels like it's literally adapting the first film. It feels still very fresh. I think Tessa Thompson's character and how Donis have to kind of navigate through this whole thing about legacy and the idea of that franchise and legacy. I thought it was a really great thing. I'm obviously very excited to see Sinners that's coming out. I've heard nothing but great things about that. But for me, like, this is when it was proven. It was like, oh my God, Coogler's got the goods. He was able to take this very silly idea that should have been a bomb. This shouldn't even be good. We shouldn't have 2 more Creed movies, but we do because this is so damn good that that it stands as a very memorable adaptation for a franchise film as well too.
I think we named some good ones there that we could replace 2 for, but should we start with just everybody saying their pick of 1 to replace Big Short?
I would say 45 years. I mean, you're never going to make me say no to Andrew Haigh, so that would be the direction I would lean.
Same.
Karen?
Yeah.
Same?
Same. 45 years. Yeah.
Dan?
I have no problem with 45 years.
I think I would go Phoenix, but 45 years I'm fully at peace with.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it's going to be 45 years.
Okay.
Which that's the one. Now, are we keeping things as is? We don't have to, again, eliminate.
Yeah, I think so because I feel like there is no consensus really about what that other movie might be. I have a feeling that we probably have a lot of different directions in that. So to me, it kind of feels like replacing Big Short with 45 years is the thing to make everybody happy, and then keeping the rest of the lineup kind of intact makes the most sense to me.
We took down McKay, and I think that's the job of this.
That was the most
category.
important
Okay,
thing.
for Andrew
So-
Haigh, this is a.
I don't think
this
there's
is
a ton of
me lineup.
enthusiasm for getting rid of the others. So.
I agree with Josh. I think that's totally fair. So a very rare replacement. But 45 years, Brooklyn, Carol, The Martian, and Room are our nominees. Karen, kick it back over to you. You're a winner in this category.
Carol, without a doubt.
All right. Dan.
Brooklyn with Carol, a very close runner-up.
All right, 1 for Brooklyn, 1 for Carol. I'm going Carol. Yeah, it's a pretty goddamn great script. And we talked about it in-depthly on Director Watch. One of the first series, I think the first series we ever did.
That was the very first one, yeah.
Yeah, great episode with the great Kevin Jacobson on that podcast. We talked in-depthly about that screenplay in that film. Sophia.
Carol, obviously.
Okay.
Patricia Highsmith, got to do it.
Got to do it. Jay?
I'm actually going to go 45 years and be completely okay with Carol as the option. 45 years is just, that makes you feel wonderfully sad, I guess. And
it's a gut punch. That's for
sure. It's like, man, imagine being a man. Like, what a horrible existence that must be. Especially in a marriage. That sounds awful.
Josh?
Yeah, I'm going to also vote for Carol. 45 years is a very, very close second for me, but I do think I would give the slight edge to Carol.
All right. Carol, new winner.
Congratulations, Carol.
Yay.
Absolutely earned. All right. Next up, Karen. Original screenplay.
All right. For original screenplay, we have Bridge of Spies, Ex Machina, Inside Out, Spotlight, which also won, and Straight Outta Compton.
Okay. This is
I know I have an ally in Ryan. I'm getting rid of Inside Out.
Yeah, I got to get rid of Inside Out.
No.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh. Nope.
Yeah.
No.
We are
Most original
we are
screenplay in this
like,
lot. No,
Absolutely.
I'm all about like natural medicine. I'm anti-doctor.
Oh my God.
Are you running the HHS now?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, call me
No, don't do
Just
it.
call
Jay.
him
Just-
RFK
just- you need to
Jr.
watch the
Everybody.
RFK Jr. because I'm anti-doctor.
I am very just, yeah. Pete Docter and I don't vibe on screenplays, his films outside of Monsters Inc., his decisions as the head of content now at Pixar. We don't ever really see eye to eye in terms of vision. And so I would get him out of there. And the other one I would get out of there is Straight Outta Compton, which is
like I feel bad about because like a super cool nomination or super cool that the movie has an Oscar nomination. It's just weird that it was for the screenplay.
It is the
Yeah.
most obvious choice to me, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I wouldn't get
Very
rid of
generic and maybe disrespectful.
yeah. Oh, it was very disrespectful because if I'm not mistaken, everybody that wrote the screenplay was white.
Mhm.
And it was the
God.
only thing nominated for the film.
Yeah.
And I was pointed
Not
out
a great
multiple.
look.
It was not a good look by the
Yeah.
Academy at
Especially
all.
this year.
Yeah,
Not a
it's
good look
like
at all.
it's like, come on. Like really? It felt like
The only thing that would have been worse is if the only acting nomination was Paul Giamatti. Like,
Oh,
could
God.
honestly could have seen it happen.
Which that could have
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
probably
think,
almost did.
I mean, that's
I
like
think-
that's Stallone with Creed. That's literally what they did. Like, and so
I think the scene where Ice Cube writes Friday kind of disqualifies it from contention.
I think
Yeah,
you're,
but
I think you're
I
kind of right
would-
there, Jay.
I would let that one go.
Where he's
for
like,
sure.
"Whoa,
That
this
would be the
movie
first
sounds
cut.
awesome."
So yeah, I'm writing a masterpiece right here. Straight Outta Compton would be for me. Sophia and Josh didn't hear thoughts on Inside Out if you keep it or
Or whatever your other option might
or
be.
if you want to kick out
Ryan
one of
and
the
I
other.
might be completely on an island.
Yeah, we might be on just on an
Well,
island. It might be an
I'm-
Ex Machina kick out.
I
who
mean,
knows?
I'm torn about Inside Out because I do think Inside Out is so original, the idea, and it is. I think I remember when it came out, it was such a big deal of how to use this movie to communicate with children about their emotions. There wasn't really anything like it. What doesn't work in Inside Out for me is anything with the parents, like anything with the family just feels like kind of like an alien thing to me. I don't understand the writing of that portion of the movie, but I would, I think, be in favor of keeping it.
Okay.
The kids
Yeah.
loved the Chinatown reference. They loved it.
Josh.
Yeah, Inside Out is a movie that I don't love. I have grown to appreciate it a little bit more throughout the years, but it's still a movie that I think is good, but not great to me. I do think it has a lot of very original ideas. I think the execution of those ideas are a little sloppy at times, and that's what I kind of have an issue with. But I do think of the Doctor stuff that has gotten these kinds of nominations, I don't mind this one. Like, I prefer this one much more to something like Up, for
Yeah.
instance.
Oh, that movie's bad.
So for the originality of it, I'm okay
So is Soul.
with it staying. Like the one for
Oh,
me,
soul.
yeah, Soul is another one where
We
like,
don't have to talk about that.
moments that are good, but as a whole, kind of
Yeah,
messy.
yeah.
I mean, for me though, like Bridge of Spies is the one where I'm like, it's good. I understand it's a
Josh.
good movie, but I'm just like, I have no passion for that movie. It's just solid, and that's about all that
On a
I
bridge?
have for it.
It's so good. I rewatched Bridge of Spies because I've been telling Jay for years that I was going to rewatch this thing because I was like you. I was like I think a couple of y'all in this room where it was like, yeah, it's fine. It's middle of the road, Spielberg, whatever. And I watched it. I was like, man, was I wrong about this thing? This thing is, it's really good. It's really good.
Bridge of Spies
And-
is my screensaver.
and on in terms of like a screenplay, like they had the original screenplay, and then they brought the Coen brothers in to do a rewrite, and that when you hear Rylance talk, he's like it's night and day in terms of what was on this original page.
Rylance is the Cohen character.
Yeah, and then they wrote a lot of also the negotiation scenes as well too, and then Spielberg obviously goes in and does his thing as well. So I think that from just hearing about the process of that screenplay to where we get it on the final page. It could have been a really bad movie, or just very like it could have just been worse than what it was, or very generic. And I actually think that the conversations and you feel like it is a Coen Brothers movie at times, and the direction of that movie is insane. So
we don't have to kick out 2 again.
We don't have to kick out 2.
I'm just saying between Inside Out and Bridge of Spies, if like that's the choice that I'm coming down to, I'm telling you that's where I'm leaning.
Listen, we're up in an uphill battle. I understand that.
We're not going to get Inside Out.
Well, we're not going to get it, and it's okay. Like it'll stay.
The thing is, I think Bridge of Spies is good, and I think that in this year, I think it kind of got. I think over time it's been forgotten about because of other bigger movies and louder movies from 2015. But when I look at other films that I think could have gotten into this category, I like a lot of other scripts more than Bridge of Spies.
Well, let's talk about the others then. Let's put Straight Outta Compton in red.
Sorry.
And see if we can knock another one out. Probably it sounds like Bridge of Spies. Potentially. In which case I will walk off the podcast.
All votes for Bridge of Spies in now.
Well, when you put it that way.
Part 5.
Some films. Let's throw them out. Original screenplays.
Okay.
Clouds of Sils Maria.
Oh, okay.
I do like that one. I want to take this moment to do my little spiel on a movie that I know is not going to get much love, but this is the place where I want to at least advocate for it the most. And I get why people are not that into The Hateful Eight. I completely understand. I do. It's a very aggressive, prickly movie. But I do find it interesting, at least for me, that this era of Tarantino, I have like really not connected with a whole lot. Like Inglourious Basterds is a movie I like but don't love. Tons of issues with Django. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my least favorite of his movies. And I find it so fascinating that The Hateful Eight is the one that people always say is the bad one. But for me, I actually do get a lot of thematic resonance out of this movie. And it, to me, is the one where after so many movies of Tarantino kind of just doing a genre exercise with not that much underneath, in my opinion, I think The Hateful Eight is actually trying to say something about American culture and relationships. And I find it to be actually more fascinating from a storytelling perspective than a lot of his recent work is at the moment. So for me, I really do like The Hateful Eight. I actually do think it's like top tier in his filmography. And I like this screenplay, as aggressive as it can be at times. I think that is the point. I think that's the nature of the story he's telling. And I find it to be very revealing from character and theme perspective. So I don't imagine that's going to get a lot of love because it normally doesn't, but I really want to be the advocate for it, at least here, because I do think that script is one of my favorites of his in a run that I'm actually not that enthused about overall.
Josh, I have watched Hateful Eight since hearing your impassioned defenses about it for years, and I wish that I saw the movie you see when you watch this.
It's
movie.
Tarantino's
I say the
most
same thing about
political
all
movie.
his other movies too.
Yeah.
Post Kill Bill.
I rewatched it last night because I was trying to obviously prepare for the show, and
I prefer to watch it in 6 parts on Netflix.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't think it had nearly as much of a bite politically for me the second go around as it did when I first saw it. Obviously, I have to be in a different mindset than when it came out in 2015. I still think it's a very, very interesting film. It moved down a little bit for me on the rewatch, kind of like when a couple of years ago, Josh and Dan and I were on a podcast for Django, and that one moved down a little bit for me. But I would pick other films, 2 other films for me that I would register here. But I think that, I mean, I appreciate also too that he tried to go there. I don't know if it all 100% works. I think the second half of the film to me is obviously the more interesting part than the first half. And the idea of that this all did kind of come from the idea of a stage, him wanting to make this for the stage because it got leaked and everything. He did a table read for it and then kind of branched it out there. The movie is built off of that script and obviously his performances, like most of his films usually are. But yeah, I
And,
like
look,
it. I don't
I
love
fully-
it. You know what I
I
mean?
fully expected nobody to go for this because I am the outlier when it comes not just to this movie, but as I said, like post Kill Bill Tarantino, I just have always found myself to be the outlier. That the movies people love in that run, I just don't. And it makes sense that The Hateful Eight would also be the inverse relationship
No,
that
but
I
it's a
have with everything else. So I didn't expect it to get picked, but I just wanted it out there that it has a defender somewhere, and it is me.
it's a
I
pretty
think it
good.
deserves a lot of critical consideration.
Yeah, and, like,
It's
looking
very
into.
charged and interesting and
I want to watch it
full of
again
ideas.
now that I know your impassioned read in defense of it.
Can I
Because
throw out
I did
one
not
in
feel
the
that
That's
way.
all.
in the vein of Josh? I'll throw out one that I know has absolutely no shot
I
at
know
any
it. I know-
award
I know
today.
it. Yeah.
And what am I going to say, Ryan?
I think you're gonna say Michael Mann's Black Hat.
No,
Okay.
I honestly that one's so not going to get a shot that I'm not even going to do it. Also, the screenplay is
Yeah,
not
I know.
really what
It's
makes
not
that
the
movie.
screenplay. His direction we can talk about, but not the
What what I was going to bring up was Green Room.
Oh yeah,
a
That's on
movie-
my list.
I love Green Room. That is another very
Man,
politically
talk
charged
about-
film.
one of the most memorable screenings because my wife literally, when the door scene, everybody knows the door scene. When she saw that, she said, "I think I want to leave." I said, "I think it's almost done," and it was like 35 more minutes left to go in that movie, or 40 minutes. And she looked at me and she said, "I fucking hate you." So I'll never forget that.
And they're
screening.
still happily married. ladies
Yeah,
and
exactly.
gentlemen.
We're still going.
I think Saulnier as the convergence of kind of schlock gore and really thoughtful analysis of America is one of the most interesting directors that's been working for the past 15 years. And I think this is maybe his best movie. So I would throw him in for consideration.
Shout out to
That
Rebel
is a-
Ridge last year too. Yeah.
That
I
is a
love
very
Rebel
good
Ridge.
movie. I'm sorry, Jay, though. That's actually a 2016 release.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
It
Yep.
is.
Darn
It
it.
is a
I
2016
had that on my
release.
list too.
Damn it.
Well, you know,
Did it maybe
was a
it must have done a
2015
festival run in
It did. It did festivals in
Yeah.
2015, but it did not come out in theaters until the following year.
I'm sorry,
You
buddy.
You
know
know,
what?
if you
I knew it
want
wasn't going to
somewhere-
get in anyway.
But you know what? If you want a horror movie that has things to say
it's at
about
April
America
2016.
from that did come out in 2015, It Follows is
On my
another
list.
super original concept that has a
Getting that sequel this
really
year.
incredible screenplay. The ideas behind it, how the characters interact and go about interacting and trying to overcome this thing that is following them. I think it's really, really clever and so well done.
I got two picks. I'm a simple man. I like some comedies.
Spy.
I got to put Spy up there.
Yes.
Spy rules.
Yes!
It's very
I
good.
was just waiting for my
So
turn so I
funny.
could have said it.
Karen, do you
So
want to?
funny.
Karen, can you talk about Spy and why it's one of the best comedies of the last 15
It-
years?
Yeah. So I actually just before we even knew we were going to do this today, I had rewatched it a couple of weeks ago. It's one that I kind of probably watch about once a year or so. Spy movies are great. We love spy movies, and what I love about Spy specifically is that it takes all the best things of the genre. You know, there's the double agents and the intrigue and just great characters, and this is made by people who clearly love spy movies. You can't mock them without loving them. And I think that this is it's such an obvious, I don't want to use love letter, but it's clearly made by people who really enjoy and understand what works in the genre of espionage films. And it's also just fun. Melissa McCarthy is so fun. Everybody in it.
Rose Byrne.
Rose Byrne, Jason
Jason
Statham.
Statham.
Jason
Statham.
We will talk about Jason
Yes.
Statham in
We're
a
going to
little
talk about
bit.
Jason Statham.
And Jude Law, like
Jude
And
Law.
Jude Law.
everyone.
Everybody
Bobby
in this
Cannavale.
is great.
Everybody.
The one
Absolutely.
pushback
Yeah.
I would have against Screenplay is it's a lot of riffing.
That's my thing too. Like I love it so much, but how much of that was actually scripted?
So then I would also throw out my second option. This is a year where, I mean, Nancy Meyers made a movie, and it's
I was
called
gonna say.
it's called The Intern.
She did. What if a man was nice?
What if a man was nice?
Question, that movie
Indeed.
boldly asks.
And it's
Honestly, the
honestly
opposite of 45 years.
it freaking
What if an
rules.
old man was nice?
Oh yeah.
Like,
What if chivalry wasn't
Truly
dead?
the opposite of 45 years.
But I
What
actually
if Robert De Niro was nice?
What if yeah, because he can we've seen those interviews with him. But no, I think that for me, Nancy's one of our great writers. That movie shouldn't also work on paper either. It feels like kind of a fever dream, like most of her films do. But I don't know. There's something endearing about it. The sort of honest conversations that I think it has about age, it has about relationships. I think Anne Hathaway's character actually is the one that on rewatches gets better for me as the films go on. I mean, like De Niro's incredible. We'll talk about him in a couple of minutes, but yeah, I know it's probably not got a chance in hell of getting in, but at least wanted to mention it because I love Nancy, and it's honestly of her films one of the more like not crazy ideas. Like when you watch It's Complicated, or like even the Diabolical Parents in the Parent Trap, or The Holiday or whatever. Like there's some wild like
The
premises out
Holiday
there.
is deranged.
It's deranged.
I love it,
Completely
But this is-
deranged.
but I-
An evil work.
Yeah, but then when you watch this, it's just like, yeah, it's just like a senior who's going back in the workplace, and like I don't know, there's that. There's
I'm not
that
sure
moment
how
where-
prevalent that
What?
was old people interns.
Well, but
but
it is such an accurate portrayal of 2010's New York.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
office building they have, like her
The
being
bike,
this kind
her
of
riding
girl
on the
boss,
bike.
Right in the bike and
CEO.
everything,
Yes,
yeah.
it is such a good portrait of
when
that
they're
time.
when they're having the pizza and she's making him the Facebook page. So 2015, you know what I mean?
we can start litigating the real choices here. I just want to throw out, because they're not going to get brought up again, Slow West I think is a really underrated Western. I would throw that out there as a potential nominee. And also The Gift is like a really good Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, good.
that I liked a lot. So
That movie's
that one
messed
is good as
up. And a
yeah,
lot of
it
ways.
is.
The one actually, Ryan, you made me think of something that I really loved. Intern is fine, but if you want a movie that is actually really beautiful and talking about aging and later in life relationships, I'll See You in My Dreams.
Oh.
It's a
Ooh,
really
I've not seen.
lovely,
I haven't seen that.
low key movie. Blythe Danner giving an absolutely
yeah.
incredible performance.
That's what shocks me that you haven't seen it, Sophia, because it sounds
Yeah,
like
I
something that-
like it is
fits,
so
it
you.
totally fits in my
Get
I'll
Blythe
add it to my watch list.
Get Blythe Danner in a book club movie. She feels like she should be in one of those,
Yes.
right? She
Yeah,
should
I
be
wish
hanging
Book
out
Club
with
would come out this year.
Yeah, you're really bummed about that they didn't announce that at Cinema
I just wish I could talk about it.
Yeah. Karen, did you have a couple?
I mean, we've talked about a few that I would have mentioned, but I also just wanted to, and I mean, I don't think anybody's going to vote for this, but that's okay. I just wanted to shout out The Diary of a Teenage Girl.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes,
On my list too.
so good.
Is it? Okay, good. Yeah, I that reaction very much pleases me because I feel like that's a film that I love Mariel Heller, and I think it as a debut, it's so confident, and what it says about, I mean, I was a tiny baby in the 70s. I didn't grow up in the 70s, but what it says about adolescence and how like there's a timelessness to it, and there's some things about it that are just very I felt like I related to this film in some ways that were very uncomfortable, but also just it's just great. So that's one of mine, Diary of a Teenage Girl. And then I just feel like we also have to give a shout out to Paddington. The first Paddington film came out this year.
Another movie. What if a bear was nice?
Would that be an adaptation though?
Right?
Yeah, that's technically an
Oh yeah,
adaptation.
it's technically
yeah,
an
that would be an
adaptation. You're right.
adaptation,
I should have
Sorry.
talked about
It's
that.
I
not
can't believe
because
we
it's not.
forgot it though.
It's not adapted from any specific Paddington story, but since it's based on a character,
Yeah,
according to the
yeah.
Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Anyways.
damn rules.
We love to see
Darn
it.
it.
I feel like we've got a lot of stuff out there with no consensus. So
Mhm.
let's start unpacking it.
By the
My
way-
number one choice would be Clouds of Silsbury.
I was going to just say that was
that was the one I threw out at the beginning. I feel like that is just it's such an intricate puzzle box of a movie to me, and I love the meta aspect, and I think so much of what I love about that screenplay is how the characters play with the script when they're rehearsing too. I love that. So that would be my vote, but I can be open to others too.
Josh.
It's good Birdman.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I love that.
They put that on the poster from Jay Levin.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good Birdman.
I was going to go for Spy. That was the one I was leaning towards. I get the argument about the improv, but there still is a skeleton of a script there that you work from. And, the Academy itself has nominated plenty of screenplays that have a ton of improv in it. So I just feel like pound for pound, it's like one of the funniest things I've seen, and I would go for that.
Karen.
Spy is my vote too.
Spy.
Yeah.
All right. Dan. Come on, Dan. We lost Dan.
It's an audio.
I'm
audio
here.
medium.
I'm thinking.
All right, I'll let you think for a second, Dan. I'll let you think.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Spy. I threw it out. I like Clouds of Salisbury a lot, but there's other places I would consider it before the screenplay.
Great, then my vote doesn't matter.
Oh,
Well, technically, if you voted
It
for
might.
Clouds of Salisbury, I would tie, but
I would not vote for like
that would not be
Ryan.
the
That
vote. It doesn't
it's
sound
a
like.
that's a movie I really like, but I would not vote for it here. My first vote for a replacement in this category really would be It Follows, but
Yeah.
I love Spy a lot, so I'm not gonna argue with that.
All right.
Spy coming in hot.
all right. So
fun.
it's Bridge of Spies, Ex Machina, Inside Out, Spotlight, and Spy. All right,
Okay.
Dan,
And I love that. Yes.
off to you, sir. What are you picking
Oh, for the win.
for the win?
For the win. It's so close. Ex Machina.
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. I love hard sci-fi stories where we're actually talking about the science part of the science fiction, and I think this does that really incredibly well. And it's also just a really great thriller
Mhm.
and character study.
I love movies about process, and I rewatched it yesterday as well too. I'm going with Spotlight. I think they got it right. I think the movie is, all about the screenplay and some really great performances. That thing moves. It's in the vein of The Insider and all the President's Men movies that I really love. Just getting into investigative journalism, and it also has this incredible, like, this go around, lines of dialogue, moments really hit me harder. That scene, the scene that I always think is the scene of the movie, is when the scene in the bar where Keaton's like, this is how it happens, right? Guy comes in the bar, leans on you, and then this is how essentially how cover up happens for decades and decades. I understand though that there are some moments that are, we're going to make, some you can make fun of and have been made fun of over the years for a specific
talk about 'em.
for a specific performance.
We're going to talk about it.
But on the page, I actually don't think I don't think that it's bad. I think that the performance is in that moment the thing that is too much. But I would keep it with Spotlight. Sophia.
I would also keep it with Spotlight. I really like this win, and I think that when you think about Spotlight, the screenplay for me is the thing to celebrate from that movie. I think it's really well written, and like you, Ryan, I love newsroom or journalist-oriented films, and I just remember this one
The
knocking
Newsroom.
me out when I saw it.
The Newsroom, right,
You
Jay?
love the newsroom.
Not the newsroom. No.
Oh.
Thanks.
Emphasis on the.
Okay.
Jay.
I would go Ex Machina with a bullet. And I think of these five, it's absolutely my choice. I think that movie is really exploring some interesting things about our relationships to technology, about sexuality generally. Very memorable characters, extraordinarily memorable moments, whether they're verbal or physical. It's all there on the page. So I would go Ex Machina.
Oh yeah.
Josh?
I would say that it is close between Spotlight and Ex Machina. I love both of them for different reasons, but the slight edge I'm going to give to Ex Machina.
Okay. Karen. Oh, no.
Tiebreaker.
Karen.
We might have a tie here. We might
no.
be here for 45 more minutes.
My top two that I'm choosing from in this category are Spotlight and Ex Machina, and both sides make great points, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't know what to do there, and I think splitting the difference, I'm gonna just stick with the winner. If I don't see a clear reason to vote against it, I'm gonna go with Spotlight.
All right. Then that means we're at a 3-3 tie.
Great.
So we're going to go.
This is great for the listeners.
So we do the preferential. So we say what would be our runner up. And
But
Karen,
is anybody's runner-up not the other movie, though?
That's what I was
mine,
Yes.
mine is not.
Mine is not.
Okay.
Karen, your runner up would be Ex Machina.
Ex Machina.
Josh, yours
Mhm.
would be Spotlight.
Yeah.
Sophia, yours would be
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. Mine would be Ex Machina. All right. So it'll come down to Dan and Jay. So it doesn't sound like Spotlight would be their runner up. So therefore it sounds like Ex Machina.
Bridge of Spies.
It would be Bridge of Spies for
Inside
Jay.
Out.
And it would be Inside Out for Dan. So it does look like then Ex Machina would carry the win.
Good
I appreciate the
screenplay
honesty
winners,
from
though,
all
I will
parties.
say.
Yeah.
Yes.
To keep
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
legit.
It's a good win.
Okay. It is a good win. That's I got a poster right over here.
Oh yeah, right over there. Wait. Oh, and there he's
Can't really
pointing.
see it. There's a reflection, but
Dan Bayer,
Yes.
best supporting actor.
Best supporting actor. The nominees were Christian Bale from The Big Short, Tom Hardy from The Revenant, Mark Ruffalo from Spotlight, Sylvester Stallone from Creed, and the winner, Mark Rylance from Bridge of Spies.
I think we can get rid of Christian Bale from The Big Short.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking
Horrible
Big Short is
performance.
going to get basically swept under the table today. So that's fine.
Now the question after this is obviously, is it Ruffalo? Is it Hardy?
It's Ruffalo.
Look,
Is it
I think coming
it-
into this, we can say this about the listeners as far as who was going to get knocked off.
Oh, God.
They knew.
Yeah. Oh, they knew.
They
and
knew.
we're gonna let it happen.
And we're going to
We're gonna let it
happen.
happen. Okay. That's-
Yeah.
All right. Good job. Good job, Jay.
No.
It could have been
Mark
you.
Ruffalo
It could have been me. It could have been anyone. And we eliminated him. Okay.
No, Mark Ruffalo is, and like I like Mark Ruffalo in general. In fact, all of his other nominations I think are great. I think he is actively terrible in Spotlight.
I think
He
I
is,
agree with you,
To me,
Josh.
the one
Yeah.
person who is kind of bringing this perfect ensemble down. I hate his mannerisms. I hate his manic energy that he brings. And it would be one thing if it was like, well, this is how the real guy is, and like you just need to do it. But if you watch interviews with the real person, he does not act like this at all. He's a very normal person to talk to. And the fact that Ruffalo chose to do this insane, annoying like acting choice is bizarre to me. So I love Ruffalo dearly, but I hate this performance and this nomination. It absolutely should be gone from this lineup.
I don't think
Josh,
wait a minute. I don't think
you're always about half measures when it comes to your opinions. on stuff
exactly.
like
I don't
this.
think you really told us how you felt there, Josh.
Can I just say
there's
that
also-
I would advocate for just blowing up this category entirely?
Oh,
Well,
None of
here's the
these
thing, though.
five would
It's
make
such a
my-
deep roster
There
of
is one
supporting
I love,
actors.
though.
Karen.
And
you're-
I understand why, but can we really talk about just the performance and not the legacy?
I know.
No, that's actually not the one I would pick.
Oh,
That
interesting.
is not the one I would save in this category.
Okay.
All right. Karen, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna say on commenting on what Josh was just saying about Mark Ruffalo is that in the time when this came out and I saw it, I thought, oh yeah, I like Mark Ruffalo. I thought the performance was fine. It wasn't until I did see some interviews with the real person that I was like, wait, what's happening here? So I totally agree with you, Josh.
It also
Well, what
does.
I
So
was also
bizarre.
thinking of is that there are in other, films about journalism, like I was thinking of Zodiac, you have a
Hmm.
character like Jake Gyllenhaal's character who is obsessed and detail oriented, and that I think that's such a great performance and understanding of that character. And what Ruffalo is doing here is just exactly the opposite, I think, of what
Yeah.
you want to do to convey that sort of
Yeah.
dedication and that like dog-like energy.
It
Yep.
also doesn't help that he's in a movie where the other supporting actors around him, literally in scenes,
Hmm.
are acting circles around him, and we'll mention those here in a minute. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think Ruffalo and Bale are the ones. Bale in the Big Short, really. I mean, like everybody in the Big Short's kind of a giant caricature of all the actors in it. Bale's actually, it feels like the most normal one, even though he's got like his character's got like a glass eye, and
I
he's got like he's on the spectrum, and there's like it's an insane performance. It really is. But then you compare it to like Carell or Gosling, and then you're like, Jesus Christ,
I
like
like Gosling in it actually. I
he's a
do
lot.
enjoy
the,
that.
Yeah.
and like yeah, if there was anyone who should have gotten nominated from this, it's not Bale.
No,
Like
But I
no.
get why, because it's the biggest performance. It's sort of like with
yeah.
Ruffalo. They picked the
Hmm.
biggest performances there
Well,
to
Bale.
nominate,
Well,
but
and
they're
it's the
also
guy
the
that's
worst
sounding
one.
the alarm. Like he's the guy who sees
Mhm.
what's
Yeah.
happening.
Well, and
Yeah.
also Bale too. Like, I mean, he was in this era where like he was in this
He couldn't
decade.
miss.
He
Yeah.
couldn't miss. He has been nominated multiple times. I mean, they even nominated him for American Hustle. He was. I mean,
Yeah.
it's Christian Bale. Like he was just getting in off of name alone, essentially. But all right, so we've got Mark Rylance still, Tom Hardy for The Revenant, and Sylvester Stallone for Creed. So those are the ones that we're keeping for now. Well, that we're going to keep, period.
Yeah.
So now we open it up. This is a very deep year
A
for
lot
a
of choices.
lot of
Yeah.
choices.
Mm,
Karen, I'll kick it over to you to start.
I
Throw out a name or two.
Yeah, my top two that I have are we mentioned a little bit ago, Jason Statham for Spy. I
Yep.
think he is
oh
so
yes.
funny. His comedic timing is
Impeccable.
perfect. Yes. And he's just great. And then my other is Kyle Chandler for Carol.
Yes, Karen.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
really
Okay.
he's really good in that movie.
Mhm.
Hmm.
All right, Dan, you got a couple?
Yeah. It we can talk about whether or not this is category fraud, but Oscar Isaac in Ex
Yep.
Machina
Yep.
is a perfect performance.
I just want to
That's all I
dance
will
with
say
him.
about that.
That's all I want to
Right?
do.
That
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
The one that I will stick up for that I maybe only Josh will know what I'm talking about is Pierre-Yves Cardinal in Tom at the Farm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Who
I get it.
is also
Uh-oh.
like just a perfect performance of like
That's not getting in, but I
it's
appreciate the
absolutely
shout.
not getting in, but
Is
like
that
I
a
need to
made-up
shout
movie
it
from
out.
30 Rock?
It's so good. That movie is great. He's so good in it. I need to shout it out. No, not getting in.
Yeah.
The other person that I would genuinely root for in this category is Emery Cohen in Brooklyn, who is an actor that prior to this I thought was just awful.
And after
here,
this,
and after this, and a lot of times too. But
Yeah.
here he's so lovable. You buy that he would be into Eilish and that she would also be into him, that they would try to make this crazy kid romance work. Like he is so charming in such an offhand way. I love how he relates to his brothers, especially when those scenes with the family. I think he's great. And then my last one is Nicholas Hoult in Mad Max Fury Road.
Mhm.
Because
He's
come
amazing in
the
that movie.
fuck on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sophia?
Talk about going balls to the wall in a very, very balls to the wall movie still, but like no one is giving more to their movie than Nicholas Hoult is to Mad Max in this
Yeah,
category.
he was also on my list, as well as Oscar Isaac in Ex Machina. I also had him in supporting. Kyle Chandler for Carol is my number one. And Josh, you'll be happy with this. I have Walton Goggins for The Hateful Eight.
Mm,
I think that's a
He's great.
great
Nice.
supporting
Good.
performance. So he would be the one I would add here.
it's Goggins' world. We're just living in it.
hmm
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, I've got a few. I'll just throw out that I know have absolutely no shot, but I think deserve a shout out. Michael Shannon is unbelievable in The Night Before. Incredible performance.
Oh yeah.
A movie that will never be brought up again for the rest of the podcast. Bradley Cooper rocks in Joy. Like he is a bolt of lightning in that movie. That movie is
Not
terrible.
even I brought this up. Wow.
Movie is terrible, but he is so good in it. If Harrison Ford in The Force Awakens, I think deserves some consideration. I think he's really given like one of his best performances in his first real performance in a while, and therefore one of his best performances in a while. But my top two are Oscar Isaac, who was already mentioned, in Benicio del Toro in Sicario. I think he's out of this world in Sicario. So threatening, cool, calm, and collected, but clearly kind of conflicted in some way. And you can just feel the history, the burden of his experience in every scene in that movie. So I would go Isaac and Benicio.
I softened a lot on Sicario when we did that episode during the Villeneuve series, but
Yeah.
I cannot deny that Benicio del Toro is giving a very good performance in that
I
film.
softened on it slightly, but yeah, that movie still has a lot of power to me. But
Josh?
I mean, I agree with a lot of what's already been thrown out. Two others that I would just mention. We didn't talk about any other spotlight guys, but
Yes.
my favorite is actually Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
I think that he's so quiet and reserved, but packs so much power in his presence. I just really, really love that performance. It's my favorite in the group. And this is another one. I know it's not going to get probably any votes, but I love this performance and what it has to do. And once again, I count voice acting as real acting. And Tom Noonan in Anomalisa has to do this really difficult thing of having to sound like every character is the same but different at the same time. And I kind of don't know how you do that as an actor. And I just think it's brilliant, brilliant work. And as I said, voice acting is real acting. And that is a difficult task that I think he beautifully pulls off.
Anomalisa, one of the most uncomfortable movies I've watched in the theater with my
very
parents.
chill film.
Ever.
I do love Anomalisa though. That's another
movie.
one I feel like I'm
Good
alone
movie.
on, but I love that film.
I gotta talk. Josh hands the baton from the Spotlight guys. Tucci is
He's great,
incredible.
Tucci would be my
Tucci's good. Yeah.
pick
Tucci's
from
great.
Spotlight, I think.
Keaton as well. I think Michael Keaton's great in that movie. I don't know if you want to put him at. I mean, they all
I
got
have
run
him on my
supporting.
The thing is,
list.
no, didn't he
He got pushed
run
lead.
some
Did he get pushed in lead?
he-
Okay, then
he
we
was
can-
the
He got
one,
pushed
Got
in
pushed
lead,
in
yeah.
at
but, like,
first, I think,
they're all
and then they like
supporting.
switched
Like-
it halfway through.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, if that's the case,
Yeah.
I'd like to push him kind of lead because I kind of feel like he is because he's the leader and everything. And
Yeah.
a lot of
It's
movie
one of those
centers-
movies where nobody's the lead and everybody is the lead. You know.
Yeah. But
Same with The Hateful Eight.
It's a
But
true
Tucci-
ensemble.
Tucci's incredible. I mean, he's having to really do it opposite Ruffalo. And so he's getting a great performance out of him is great. And I think that scene on the bench when he's having lunch and he's explaining about the documents. But then there's that shot. It's one of Ruffalo's actually best moments because he doesn't say anything. But it's the shot where Tucci is walking in because there's a new case and a new, these new clients that he's having. And he tells them, just to keep up the fight and the work because, it's necessary. Truly great. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned this. Joe Manganiello from Magic Mike XXL.
Very little mention of Magic Mike so far, which I'm a little
It's
surprised
coming.
by.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Oh, okay.
That's enough. That's enough of that double
I
entendre.
think that was the tagline of the movie, right?
If anyone just gave like maybe the scene of the year, it's in the gas station dance. Gotta say, it's probably the most memorable thing out of the film, and he's incredible.
Jada Pinkett Smith would like a word.
That's how I was going to reintroduce the slap idea that we brought at the beginning. So
She's incredible in that film too. But I wanted to mention Joe because I thought he was fantastic, and yeah, that's everybody else was pretty much mentioned.
A lot of people.
A lot of
Yeah.
people
A lot of
mentioned.
choices,
a lot of
yeah.
choices. Oh, I'd also like to mention Sean Harris for Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. I think he's this and in Fallout. I think he's absolutely fantastic and this perfect foil
been
to Tom Cruise in that. Shut up, Jay. So, all right. Who we picking, guys?
Oscar Isaac was mentioned twice.
Oscar
Kyle
Isaac.
Chandler was
Yeah.
mentioned multiple times.
Statham was mentioned. I would mention Statham. Big Statham guy.
Yeah.
I think those are the three
Yeah.
that there was enthusiasm for.
And then any of the if we wanted to just
or Nicholas Holt too, maybe.
Yeah,
Nicholas
Nicholas
Holt
Holt was
is
the
the
other
other
one that I
True.
wanted.
He was mentioned
Like,
multiple times. You're right.
Yeah, like my top two were Isaac and Holt.
I would put Statham and Oscar Isaac in before Nicholas Holt.
Yeah, I think those are mine too. Statham and Isaac.
Okay. So we have at least three Isaac at number, it sounds like one.
I think
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac's going to get it.
Yeah, I think he's in.
Okay.
and
Oscar
I'm
Isaac
okay with
is
that
in.
because Oscar Isaac should have some
he
more
rules.
love than he
Should have
deserves.
at least one.
What's he
This is-
doing now? What was the last thing he was in?
He's doing Del Toro's Frankenstein next.
Yes, yeah.
and
that's
he's
right, that's right.
looking hot as fuck. I'm sorry. Like we're
Those are
all
some
waiting.
mutton chops, right?
That hair is a flowing. So let's fucking go. And then all right, so it sounds like he's in. And then are we going Statham?
I would go Chandler, but that's just my vote. But I'm not as big of a Jason Statham fan as everybody else.
Listen, it's not
I'm
about
not
very
either,
me.
but in
funny
that
and-
movie, he is.
in that movie,
He's very
It's
funny.
not about
Come on.
I'm not like rooting for him to get in the beekeeper here. I'm saying that like this is a massive
Sure.
Fucking on.
Yeah.
Look, I actually think Statham is super talented in the right role. You're talking to
yeah.
the number one crank stan.
There you go.
Yes.
I knew it was coming out.
So I'm all right. I'm okay with Statham.
I just think that
but also Chandler is really good.
it's also kind of really against type for him to be this kind of comedic and making fun of a lot of the movies that he sort of literally still calls as a calling card. And the face-off scene joke in the conference room alone is I know you're lying to me. I know it's there.
It is. I
They
do
were
wonder with
fucking
him.
vaginas.
Yeah, how much of his dialogue I wonder was improv? Because if
I-
it was, he should do that
For
All
every
the
movie.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Kyle Chandler's really great though. Again,
Statham's way more memorable though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
love
I'm
Kyle
fine with
Chandler
it.
and
How
Carol. I
often
just
will
don't
we
feel
get
like
to
he's
It's fun.
funny.
It's fun. That's a fun nom.
And there's another performance in Mad Max that I'm more obviously more passionate about than Nicholas Holt, who I think is fine.
Riley
in the
Keough.
film. Yeah, exactly.
You know that Riley Keough's married to the Doof Warrior?
Mm-hmm.
That
Really?
rules. Yeah.
Yep.
They
Well,
met on
we
the
should-
set and now they're married.
He should be nominated actually.
Let's get him on the pod.
Let's get him on the pod. I think we're gonna go Statham. I think that seems to be the
That's
Sounds
awesome.
like it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So
That's a good lineup.
Awesome.
Actually.
I love this so much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have Jason Statham, Oscar Isaac, Tom Hardy, Sylvester Stallone, and Mark Rylance. Okay. Sophia, you're up first.
Oh, well, so last night when I rewatched Bridge of Spies,
Mm.
I did say and think that I would stick with Mark Rylance because I actually do really like that win. But now with our other options here and thinking about it a bit more, I'm going Oscar Isaac. I feel like he's so good in that movie. He's so sinister but in a way that only that type of man and that character can be. He's so funny too. I feel like it's a perfect role for him, and I think my favorite performance of his that he's given. So I'm gonna go Isaac.
J-Dog.
Yeah, I was Rylance in 2015. I'm Rylance now. I think that performance is unbelievable. It's so understated while also being extraordinarily clever. He had a 3 to 5 year run where I was like, this is one of our great actors to come. And then that has not really come to fruition until the Terrence Malick movie, the Jesus movie, where he plays the devil. Then he'll be fully back. But I absolutely love Rylance's performance in Bridge of Spies.
Josh.
Well, at the time when it was just the Oscar lineup, I only had one crossover from that lineup in my personal ballot, and that was actually Tom Hardy in The Revenant. I
Which
don't
says a
like that
lot.
movie. I
Which
know,
says,
and I don't
yeah.
like The Revenant, but I think he is
He's good in
legitimately
that movie.
fantastic
Yeah.
in that film.
He's grunting and groaning. Yeah, and he's
yeah,
good.
I love him in that movie. He's the only thing I love in that
He's
film.
doing a voice that makes sense for once.
Yeah. But with our new lineup, I would vote for Oscar Isaac. I do think that performance I like just a little bit more. But Tom Hardy, not that far out because I think he's great too. But my vote is Oscar Isaac.
Karen.
I think with this lineup that we have now,
Mm-hmm.
I would not be upset with any of them winning. Um, and I actually going into this thought my vote was going to be with Mark Rylance, just stick with the winner because I do think that he I think that some people really just don't like who he beat more than they don't like his performance. However, I think looking at it as it is now, I think at this point it doesn't really matter, but I'm going with Jason Statham because I just think that would have
Nice.
like I just imagine
I love
the
that.
acceptance speech and that would just be magical. So
That would be amazing.
Karen, imagine the
Incredible.
acceptance speech of him winning an Oscar in front of Sylvester Stallone and giving him
that
like a
would be so funny.
fucking middle finger right there.
Imagine him giving the acceptance speech in character.
Of course I fucking earned it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Didn't I? Dan.
I look, if Mark Rylance is dead, has no fans left, that means that I'm dead too, because number one, Mark Rylance stan over here, absolutely love him. I've loved him since I'd seen him on stage, and he's a brilliant actor.
Here comes the butt.
But if I voted for the Oscars, Oscar Isaac would have two. One for Inside Llewyn Davis and one for Ex Machina. So he is my winner here.
It's like Oscar Isaac's going to carry it. For what it's worth, if we were just going off the lineup, I do love Sylvester Stallone in Creed. And I think
really good.
It is a phenomenal performance. I think that what did him in is that people don't like Sylvester Stallone. And I don't think it had anything to do other than that. I think Mark Rylance is incredible in Bridge of Spies. And rewatching that performance, they're really on the polar opposite of the spectrum in terms of like which one you really love. And it's subtle work versus this iconic character that we've known for years. And we've seen that Rocky franchise and how bad those performances can be from Stallone. And I think that it's a testament to his work as an actor in there, as well as also Coogler and what he's able to get out of him as a director. And but I would agree with Karen that I think Jason Statham would be my vote. I think
rocks.
that performance is the best performance of his career. It's outside of Melissa McCarthy in Bridesmaids, the best performance, and also Blake Lively in A Simple Favor. It's the top tier Paul Feig's filmography. Like, he's able to get performances from actors that you don't expect these memorable performances to come from. Statham's incredible. Every scene he's in is hysterical. He's never been better than this. I love Oscar Isaac, and he's going to be our winner here. I'm glad that he won. This is justice for a most violent year last year, where he should have won for that. He should win for Inside Llewyn Davis. He should be having multiple Oscar nominations. Oscars should be at the Oscars, not just presenting. And I think that I think it's a great winner too. He's fantastic in Ex Machina, so I have no problem with that whatsoever. All right. we are on to Best Supporting Actress.
There might be an obvious answer. Has anybody named Oscar won an Oscar?
What?
The songwriting duo from Oscar and Hammerstein.
Okay.
Oh, yes, of course.
Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Sophia.
You gave me our best winner of the day.
You're welcome.
Obviously kidding. Our winner here was Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl. Our other nominees, we have Jennifer Jason Leigh for The Hateful Eight, Rooney Mara for Carol, Rachel McAdams for Spotlight, and Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs.
Okay, we're keeping Vikander.
We're replacing Vikander with the other performance.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a
the one
fun,
that she
most
should have
obvious
won
thing
for.
to do.
Like,
But I think there are other options as well.
Are we gonna have the category fraud conversation?
Yes.
About Rooney.
about
Rooney.
like half this lineup.
Yeah.
Well,
should
yes,
win.
but I
Alicia
was
Vikander is
particularly
literally the
talking
title
about.
I think
character.
Rooney's
Like,
the only one.
The only thing with Rooney though is that if we do move her, and I do think she's category fraud here, that actress is loaded.
Yeah.
Actress. So I can't promise that I would pick her to go in there.
I think this is not a ordinary people situation.
Yeah, this isn't Timothy
No.
Hutton. I think if we cut her, there is not a guarantee she's going into lead.
And I
And
think
honestly,
there are
I'm
worse
okay
performances
with that. I
than
think
hers.
she's great, but I'm
Yeah.
okay with. I don't know. I'm okay
She
with.
should
talk-
go where
let's
she
talk
belongs.
Winslet accent.
Not where
Yes.
she deserves it. Like, not where she's going to get a nomination. She should go where she
Exactly.
belongs.
Winslet accent.
Winslet
oh my
accent,
God.
I think, needs to be addressed up at the top.
Winslet, that is how the woman talks, if you have heard her. So I hope that's the only discussion we need to have about the accent.
Do it, Steve. Do it, or I will leave you forever.
And also,
Fix
she's the
it.
best
Fix
actual
it, Steve. Do it
supporting
now or I
performance
quit.
in this category. So
Okay, so we're keeping Winslet. Okay.
I think
Yes, we are.
we're keeping McAdams.
I don't think we necessarily have to keep McAdams.
I think
don't
she's great.
so either.
I like her in
I
Spotlight.
love Rachel McAdams in general, but that performance to me is fairly slight.
I agree. And I my thing with all the actors in Spotlight, I think they're all really good, but they're all really good as part of an ensemble. And it just feels really weird to me to pick any one of them out for a nomination, because the whole point of that movie is that they all work so well together to create this tapestry. And I don't think any one of them stands out as being particularly better than the others or than anyone else in any other film. And I think that's very much the point.
That's what SAG is for.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually, on that topic, I'm proposing not for this year, but for future years.
Oh, a
we
rule
consider-
proposal.
Yes, I'm thinking we consider the fact that the Academy is adding a casting category, and we consider if that existed in this year, what would we pick?
Well, we got to ask Josh.
Ooh.
I'm not
Josh.
saying for this year. I'm saying like maybe starting in 26, we
Yeah.
add that to
When
our
they
Table
conversation.
it to that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be an episode.
The
we
committee
just-
will address that at the end
Yeah.
of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, it sounds like everybody has like had their day in court. It seems like to get eliminated, except Jennifer
well,
Jason
I don't think we talked
Leigh,
about Jennifer Jason Leigh. Yeah,
which is
obviously a thorny movie.
honestly a
very
non-controversial
thorny
character
role.
at all.
Yeah.
There's nothing that anybody's ever said.
But I like
anything
her in the
about that.
movie.
Yeah, that's
I
the thing.
know
Like,
not the
she's
hateful
so
She's
good
very
with
Bender.
it that, yeah.
And she should be rewarded for everything she has to go through.
Yes.
Maybe that.
I hate that movie. I don't hate that she got nominated for it.
Mhm.
I think she's pretty great in it, and it's a very complicated character. And yes, I
She's
think
very good in it.
It's also yeah. I mean, she's very good in it. So okay, so she's gonna stay. Vikander's out.
She's
Yeah.
gone.
Vikander is out.
We can get rid of that.
She's a
Is
lead. and-
McAdams out?
Is McAdams out? Is Rooney staying? Is
for me,
Winslet and her accent gone? What are we doing?
McAdams is out.
if
for
we
me.
are only picking out two,
Yeah.
then if Alicia is really one, then I have to say Rooney, because she does not belong. She flat out does not belong in this
Oh,
category.
Okay.
so you're just okay.
Dan's going
All right.
category fraud. Jay's
That's where I'm leaning
going.
towards.
Jay's going
I'm going
McAdams for the
McAdams. I'm
ensemble.
just going
Josh is
sure
going
quality. Yeah.
Rooney for category fraud. Karen.
I'm also doing the category fraud.
Category fraud looks like it's Karen and Sophia.
Yep. Goodbye,
Okay.
Rooney.
Okay.
I would have
Fraud.
kicked out
Sorry.
Winslet.
Yeah.
That's just me.
She's
Um,
next up for
certainly
me.
not my
brace
favorite
yourself for
performance.
later
I
when we talk
love
about
her
the
and Steve.
winners.
I don't care. I love her. I think she's great.
I think.
Okay.
Listen, I love Kate Winslet, but that accent is that there's got to be a penalty for that accent.
But if
all right?
it's the way the woman talks, like,
Yeah, it's literally the way the woman talks.
I don't know. It's not very good. But she's in. So Winslet's in. Meg Adams stayed, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Now, the fun part.
If I don't get Rebecca Ferguson in, I'm going to set myself on fire.
Rebecca Ferguson for Mission Impossible Rogue Nation has been put up to the board.
Rose
I do love her
Byrne
in
for
that movie.
Spy.
Rose Byrne for Spy.
Please, Rose Byrne for Spy. Please. My God. The jokes. Come on.
I
The way
believe
that she delivers the line about the Bulgarian woman.
Yeah.
Sophia, I believe you wanted to nominate Jada Pinkett Smith.
I did want to nominate Jada Pinkett Smith for Magic Mike XXL.
I mean,
Second.
there is a question of category, but Kristen Stewart in Clouds of Sils Maria
She's
is
my other
probably
one.
my number
She's
one.
great.
She was running supporting all year, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
Andy McDowell for Magic Mike XXL. I think that she's
I like
also very
that.
memorable as well.
Yeah, she's good.
Marianne Cotillard for
I mean,
Macbeth.
did we talk? We talked to other Vikander, right? Vikander.
I mean, Vikander in
The
Ex Machina.
Yeah. That is the performance she won the Oscar.
I
for. Don't care.
actually it's been
My-
in the it's been written in the Academy for what I can see here as why she I don't know the Danish girl doesn't even exist. It's okay, all right. Tessa Thompson for Creed. I would easily put
Pretty
her
good.
up for consideration.
Good.
I would throw out Julie Walters for Brooklyn.
Yes, my heart.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
It's magical.
I just love Julie Walters in general. Everything she does is great.
I
But
would
they-
also say, oh, sorry.
Oh no, go Care.
I was going to say, if we're also, talking about supporting performances for Carol, I would say
Yes.
Sarah Paulson.
Sarah Paulson.
Yes.
Mhm.
She's
Yes.
incredible in that film.
She's perfect.
That scene with
Sarah
Mara.
Paulson. She was on a run there too for a while.
Yeah, she was like, "Is this going to be the greatest actress ever?" And then Ryan Murphy put her in every project, and
She got Murphyed.
Yeah.
She got Murphyed. Yeah,
She's the only good thing in any of his projects. So.
correct.
Pretty much true. Her and Lily Rabe. I will throw out Marianne Cotillard in Macbeth. She is a fantastic Lady Macbeth.
She
Love
is.
her.
Anybody else?
Hirzel's weird one.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anybody else, guys?
No,
Those were all of mine.
Kitana Kiki Rodriguez for Tangerine.
Oh.
Okay, so this was actually what I was
Talk about
wondering
a charisma
because,
bomb.
because actually, Dan, that's not the category she was running. It was
I
Maya
know,
Taylor.
But
who was
I
run.
switch. I think Taylor's the lead, and she's the supporting.
And this was the
like,
conversation that I wanted
Yeah.
to know because I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of put them both.
it's kind of a Carol situation.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Although
weird
those
one.
two are just co-leads.
That's sort of what I felt. I mean, I love both of those performances, and I know Maya Taylor was sort of the one that got most of the attention because it's the quote unquote serious one, but she's great too. I love them both, but I did kind of feel like, well, if we're gonna say like the Carol situation, yeah, those are two leads. I feel like we got to be consistent here too.
I can ride with that.
Elizabeth Debicki in the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Man,
Oh my
Russell's such a-
god!
a little
Yeah,
Guy
I
Ritchie shout
love-
out.
Yes,
Little Guy Ritchie shout
I
out.
almost brought that up during
Love
Screenplay.
her and Man from
That's a good
U.N.C.L.E.
movie. One of
It's a good movie.
It's
Yeah.
so much
Movies.
fun. Yeah.
It's one of Guy Ritchie's best.
Yep.
And
And bombed at the box office
Yeah.
because why would
Because
you
we can't
expect
have nice
people-
things.
Well, also, why would you expect people to show up for a remake of a TV show that's like from the 60s that nobody talks about anymore?
that's true.
Yeah,
For sure.
Which really hurt Mission Impossible. And
I was actually about to say that. Yeah.
Well, but Mission
only-
Impossible
that was
has,
only,
like
like,
nothing
20
to do
years
with
old.
that
I mean, it
anymore,
does
so-
help. It does help having Karen Tom Cruise as opposed to Army Hammer. you
yes.
know,
Yeah.
and
But also
Henry
just
Cavill.
inherently Mission Impossible, a much more marketable name than The Man from U.N.C.L.E. A
Yes,
ludicrous
that is very
name.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mission Impossible also had like a decade head start to establish
That's
itself
true.
as a franchise. So
So okay. Anybody else? or you think we're good?
I think, I mean,
I
that's
think
a lot
we're
of
good.
people right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like Vikander for Ex Machina had support here.
Mhm.
It sounds like I'm gonna have to set myself on fire. Is what it sounds like.
No, Jay,
sorry,
Jay, I'm with you. I'm with
Mm.
you, buddy. Rebecca Ferguson should get in for Rogue Nation. She's incredible in that movie, and she would be my second pick. So,
Well, I thought the most enthusiasm was there for Rose Byrne, actually.
yeah,
It's
I
under-
do think
My
Rose
top-
Byrne.
Yeah, I would
My
say-
top two are Kristen Stewart in Clouds of Sils Maria and Rose Byrne. in
She's really
Spy.
great. She won this. Did she win the César for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she won the César for Cloud.
Only
She's
American to do it,
incredible in that.
Yep.
my number one is Stewart, and I'm totally Rose Byrne is incredible in Spy, so
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I wish I loved Clouds of Sils Maria as other people did. Like, I liked the movie, I just didn't love it.
Yeah.
It's a Sophia movie.
Yeah,
All right.
it is.
Well, I think since it's not going to get anything else, I should say that I think that's one of my 10 favorite movies of that decade. So I love that movie so much.
He's putting his cards on the table.
But I
Doesn't
think
have
it's
a
going to be
choice.
one of the last times we talk about it.
I
so.
think so, buddy. Well, maybe not. I think we'll talk about it a little bit.
I'm here, Jay. I'm going to bring it up a few more times.
Okay, so it sounds like Rose Byrne. Is that where we're going?
Rose Byrne is
Sounds
in,
like it.
I'm good with that.
and Vikander.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
like
Good
it.
to me.
All right.
So we did Spy and Ex Machina again in the
Again.
summer.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, I thought Karen, I get, the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible love. I thought we'd get you over. You know what I mean?
I know.
Well, all right. Yeah, guys, we're really we saw more than just
tried.
2 movies, guys. I'm just
Well,
gonna
this is consensus, though.
Yes,
like
yeah,
we
that's
name
true.
a bunch of stuff, but then you got to pick.
true, and we
you know,
did, and we
pick
are
people
doing
like.
what the Academy refused to do, which is nominate Alicia Vikander in the right role. Otherwise, we would have.
And nominate comedies when they're worthy.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. So Alicia Vikander for Ex Machina, Jennifer Jason Leigh, The Hateful Eight, Rooney Mara for Carol. No, not Rooney Mara for Carol. Sorry. She's out. Rachel McAdams for Spotlight, Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs, and Rose Byrne for Spy.
Man, this could go many ways.
I love this category.
Oh, this is tough. I'm gonna go first. I think I'm gonna go with Jennifer Jason Leigh for The Hateful Eight. And just because of all them, I know Vikander's now finally here for Ex Machina where she should be. And that will probably be the winner. There's just, for me, I think Jennifer Jason Leigh's performance in that character is the most fascinating in the lineup. And I think rewatching her last night, she is incredibly electric in that.
She takes a punch like no other.
Yes. And I think she is incredible. Like we talked about Goggins briefly, but the standoff scenes between them towards the end of the film, absolutely just great stuff from her. I think that was like originally going to go to somebody else, and he
Jennifer Lawrence
was Jennifer Lawrence, and I was always fascinated to see what that performance could have been.
That would have been so annoying. Oh
Would've
my
been
god.
interesting.
I'm sorry. I'm just
That's
going to
for
say
sure.
it.
I think it would have been
intrigued
good.
by
I think it would have been an interesting.
I think
wrinkle
Jennifer
on it.
Jason Leigh's a much better pick.
But I think
for that.
correct. I think
Yeah.
that's
Thankfully, we got Joy. So
yeah, we got joy out of it. Thank God. So I'm gonna go with Jennifer.
Oh, we didn't
Jason Leigh.
mention Rossellini. We should have brought her up for Joy.
Yeah, well, and there's a reason why we didn't.
Too late.
Sophia.
darn.
I'm actually going to vote for Rose Byrne for Spy. I love that performance. I feel like that's just such a great, I don't know. I remember at the time watching it and knowing that she wouldn't get nominated, but wanting it so bad. And I think just in rewatching that movie, I think like last year I rewatched it, she was the standout to me. And I'm going to go with the comedy this time.
Jay.
Oh man, yeah. I didn't get my two top picks in there. So I actually, of the nominees, I think I'm also going Rose Byrne. That has become a very frequent watch in our household, and she really is for me the standout performance of the movie. She plays it, I don't know, does she play it really straight, and that's why it works so well? she really is kind of the grounding force of the movie, where she is playing like she's in a traditional James Bond movie, while also throwing in this dash of, real farce into it. She kind of goes back and forth so deftly. So I'd go Rose Byrne.
When she
Didn't
has
think
to
I'd be saying that at the beginning of the episode.
Me
When
either. I
when
was gonna go Stewart, but she's not here. So
when she
Rose Byrne it
when she
is.
has to slide the gun across the floor at the end of the film, one of the funniest laughs I've ever had. It's just like, it's so minimal effort.
Not when Rebecca Ferguson's riding that motorcycle, though.
Yeah, I know, buddy.
Unbelievable.
I know. We have to let it die.
That yellow
Sorry.
dress, man.
Just like in Dead Reckoning Part 1, we got to let it die. All right, Josh Parham.
I've been to that bridge.
You have?
Yeah, I was in Venice.
Don't you remember he sent us a
too.
picture of it?
Did you go with your wife to that bridge?
Yeah, and I
Don't. We're going to leave it there. All right, Josh, go.
Well, you know what? I know that there have been snarky remarks about her, but I don't care. I love Kate Winslet in Steve Jobs. I understand why people make the comments that they do, but you know what? She is still to me like one of the most captivating elements about that movie. Every time she's on screen, I am just glued to every single interaction that she has with every character. I think her screen presence is just so magnetic and captivating. And yes, there are choices made, but they are grounded in reality, so it makes sense for that character. And I love her. Every time she's on screen, like, it is the most that I am plugged into that film. So my vote's for Kate Winslet.
All right.
she's verging on Leonardo DiCaprio doing the in South Africa. It's bling bang kind
Oh,
of
and the Blood
accent
Diamond
for me. Yeah,
Blood Diamond.
that's the energy I
America
get
is
from
bling bling.
that performance at times.
I hear it.
But,
Bang,
I mean,
bang.
she is captivating, no doubt about it,
Yeah.
in ways both distracting and impressive.
Karen.
Rose Byrne as a evil mastermind / mean girl is just one of the funniest things that has been on the screen this century. So Rose Byrne.
She's gonna do it. She's getting the gold. Unbelievable. We
Damn.
did it.
While I agree wholeheartedly with every single thing Josh said about Kate Winslet, I have always said about this year that the Academy awarded the right person, but for the wrong fucking role. So I'm going to stick with it. Alicia Vikander in Ex Machina. That is, I know it's technically not a debut, but for a lot of people, it was the first time they saw her in anything. And you can tell right away that she's going to be a star. She has this character down so much, even though you can see the actual wheels inside her head turning, you still feel like she's a complete mystery and you can't figure her out. It has probably the highest degree of difficulty of any performance that anyone gave this year. And she absolutely nails it, like she's been doing it for her whole life.
Love the honesty.
Lara
Love
Croft
the pick.
herself,
Tomb Raider.
Amen.
starring Walton Goggins.
Rose Byrne is our winner.
Wow.
That is
I
so
love that
awesome, by the
so
way.
much.
That
Good
I'm
for
fine with
us.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
really love
It's a great
that.
win. It's a great win. If anyone I thought for Spy was going to win the supporting categories, I thought it would be Statham, not Byrne. That's actually pretty badass. Okay.
Look, she also deserved it for Bridesmaids. So like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god.
For
I
the
still
for
say
the toast.
things that she says in Bridesmaids in the
it's
exact
so
same
good.
voice.
It's so good.
Her and Wig passing the mic off
Perfect.
during the speech.
Oh,
Incredible.
my gosh.
Perfection.
Okay. Best actor, I'm up. Leonardo DiCaprio for The Revenant, as given to by Julianne Moore. The other nominees were Bryan Cranston for Trumbo, a movie we all rewatch every year. Matt Damon, The Martian. Michael Fassbender, Steve Jobs. And the first unanimous elimination here, Eddie Redmayne for The Danish Girl.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You want to defend the
he
Danish
figured
Girl?
out- I
movie
think
does
he
not
figured out his
exist.
persona, and I think he really only got back to it with Cabaret as well. I think he's kind of circled back to his true essence, and let's talk about it.
Well,
I
I was
was
gonna.
not expecting that reference from you, and I'm so happy. That was amazing.
I mean, Jade. To be fair, I actually think of the performances Eddie Redmayne gives this year, he actually gives a better performance in Jupiter Ascending, another really bad, terrible movie.
That is at least camp on purpose.
Yeah.
My opinion of Redmayne is I think he's actually a good actor when he tries to play a regular fucking person. But he just does this like flinty, whispery nonsense that just gets him absolutely nowhere. And he's so annoying.
I heard that Day of the Jackal show that's really good.
He's good in the Sorkin movie.
The Trial of Chicago 7.
I think he's good in that movie.
Okay.
As not good as that movie is in
Josh's
general.
face.
I think he's pretty good. But
I'm not a fan of
You're not helping your cause in favor of Josh, but
he's good in Cabaret though.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree.
Yeah. So Eddie Redmayne's out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Offensive performance.
Yeah.
Now
This is honestly, we're verging on an Oppenheimer here.
we are.
It was close. It was very close because I hate this category, but I like Fassbender enough that
That's
I think
the
that
one
would
for
be,
me.
Yeah, enough to keep.
Even
him,
though I
but-
would have nominated him for Macbeth instead of Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. I don't hate Leo in this role. I don't hate this
just don't
movie.
He
care
just
about Leo
shouldn't
in this
have
role.
won for it.
I agree, but I don't hate this performance. I particularly don't hate this movie.
He's not in my bottom two. I will say that.
But I wouldn't give him the win, you know? And I like Damon in The Martian. The one that does also exist is Cranston in Trumbo. That is such a HBO original movie performance. They only nominated this guy.
It?
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
Mr.
I get that
Roach
they're
himself,
doing it
Mr.
because
Austin
they
Powers.
couldn't give him an award for Breaking Bad and everyone
Yeah.
loves him, but like this is so far from that.
His
that,
post
like, what are
Breaking
we
Bad
even
career
doing?
was brutal.
Yeah.
It's been
It was
brutal.
bad.
Yeah.
So I think
I
Eddie
think it's-
Redmayne and Bryan Cranston.
They gotta go.
I think it's
Universal.
easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They gotta go.
Those are the ones.
Yeah. All right. Say goodbye to them. They're gone. All right. Our replacements. I have to mention Samuel L. Jackson for The Hateful Eight.
Thank you. I was gonna say that he needs
love
to be
him
where the
too.
conversation starts.
And Sophia has a pick that is near and dear to my heart. as
I
well,
do. I have to go with Robert De Niro for The Intern.
He's
is one of
incredible.
my favorite performances of his. I think he's incredible. It's such just a warm, lovely
so nice.
performance. I love Nancy Meyers'
It's got the pocket square.
performances anyway, but he's just so lovely in this. And I have a few here. I would also throw out, we haven't talked about this movie, but Ray Fiennes for A Bigger Splash. I really like him.
2016.
Isn't it
2016.
2015?
It was
No,
a 15
16.
festival run.
I think this
don't know.
was 15 though.
Are you
no,
sure?
because he would have made my supporting actor lineup if it was a 2015, and he
I
did
believe
not.
it is a 2016. Hang on, I can double check here.
February 12th, 2016 US release.
Okay.
Okay.
Never mind then.
Premiered
Sorry.
at Venice in 2015.
I would throw out Michael Keaton for Spotlight as well. We introduced that idea earlier, but I would put him here. But De Niro for The Intern was my number one on the outside. I'll save another one for Jay that I really like.
J Dog.
Thomas Jeffrey Hanks, father of Chet,
Yeah.
in Bridge of Spies, giving
Always what you want to be known for.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's going to be on the
it
obituary
is just,
down the road.
he can kind of do this stuff in his sleep, but it doesn't make it any less impressive. He is so forlorn, and also just has such innate integrity to me. It is a true performance, as effortless as it seems so often with him. There are nuances and small things that he's able to do, small gestures or expressions that I think are so potent and make that movie, in my opinion, very powerful. So Tommy, my guy, Tom Hanks.
I agree, buddy. I agree. Josh?
I actually have a lot of people that have not been mentioned yet. I don't know what people's feelings are about the end of the tour, but I think Jason Segel is great
He's
in that
really
movie.
great.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about that real guy. Nothing. Absolutely
David Foster
zero
Wallace,
of
as a
David
white
Foster
man in
Wallace.
his 30s, he's very
I was
important
gonna
to me.
say, I see
I
so
know,
many
which-
men reading Infinite Jest all the time on the train.
Makes sense as to why I have no knowledge
Yeah.
about him.
Sounds like
But-
Josh has never considered The Lobster, which is
Oh my God.
unfortunate.
But considering that, I still feel like Jason Segel creates a full character, and I totally believe who this guy is, and the fact that I can get that without even knowing the real person, I just think is amazing. Jacob Tremblay in Room, the category he should have been campaigned in, I think
Yes.
he is amazing. It's one of the best child performances ever, in my opinion. And then another movie we haven't talked about either that I really liked is the movie Son of Saul and Geza Roig. I think is also
Yes.
incredible in that film.
Well,
That's
a
also
good
another
pick.
one I think is really great. Kind of a precursor to what they do a little bit in Zone of Interest, even a bit as
Mhm.
well. And I think that performance is a real great anchor to that film, and I think he's incredible in it.
Josh, you just took like my big, I'm like, I don't think anyone else is going to
Yeah.
vote for this person, but I love him. Pick
Oh, he's
with that
so
one.
good.
He's so
Yeah.
good. He is a terrific anchor for that movie to make it not just this you really involving, sort of like cinematic experience, but a really emotional one as well.
Karen, you got one or two?
The only other one that I would add here, and I think that there's already better performances, stronger performances, but I would also say Domhnall Gleeson for Ex Machina. That I think that the supporting performances there are very compelling and in some ways sometimes kind of overshadow him, but I don't think that they would work as well if you had uh a I don't know how to say it, but if you didn't have such a strong lead performance too, someone who um, can really capture the wonder and the confusion and the earnestness that he brings to this role, and getting caught up in this technology he doesn't really understand, being the subject of a case study he doesn't really know that he is part of, and just watching the way that he is able to interact so well with in such a confined space and with such a small cast. I think it's a really strong lead performance.
I see the world through his eyes,
Mhm.
and he does it fantastic. He's fantastic in the film. Dan, you have one or two outside of Son of Saul?
Most of the ones that I was gonna throw out were already taken, but I will come back to like if we allow actors to be nominated multiple times for multiple roles. I think Fassbender is much better in Macbeth than he is in Steve Jobs. I think he is a force of nature in that movie, which is exactly what Kurzweil was asking him to do.
We go by Academy rules, though, I believe, sadly, right? And
No, we don't. We gave Nicole Kidman a nomination for 2 movies.
that's true.
That was, I was
There we
gonna
go.
say, that was the one example that
Yeah.
So we can
where
do
we've
it.
done it.
It's precedent. We can do it. Do
Damn
it.
it.
And the other one, this movie is not good, but I have a real soft spot for Ian McKellen's performance in Mr. Holmes.
Okay, now Dan, now's my. The only reason I didn't mention it is because nobody's gonna remember this
No one has
movie or
seen
what
this
he did
movie.
in it. Of course, you would be the one. This is the only reason I didn't mention him is that I didn't think anybody would know. But all right, thank you, Dan.
I don't know. That movie is like shockingly bad, but he's
great.
So good in it.
I love him in that movie. Yeah.
I got to mention Michael B. Jordan in Creed. I think he's phenomenal in that.
Great movie star performance.
Great movie star performance. A movie that will totally nobody outside of Jay and myself will probably give 2 shits about.
I know what
I
you're
think
saying.
Christian Bale in
Night of Cups,
Night of
baby.
Cups
Come on.
is great.
Come on.
I can't with that
He's
movie.
great.
though.
5 stars.
My
5
God.
stars.
Yeah.
One of my
Gotta
faves.
love it. It's a good movie.
Incredible movie.
Also, another one,
Yay.
Jay, you and I, we're going to write this one. I don't know if you're on me, but Hemsworth in Black Hat. Truly
Yeah, I mean, not
a choices made performance.
That movie, I would.
I'd love to
praise,
just
but
throw it out
look,
there.
He is the most jacked hacker of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
No denying.
Exactly. When he's taking those magazines and taping them up to himself at the end, it's like, God, this is
Definitely a great physical performance.
Exactly.
No doubt about it.
And speaking of physical performances, I know that everybody, when we talk about actors, we're going to talk about specifically probably one performance. But I think Tom Hardy in Mad Max Fury Road is equally as good. I know he is not as flashy as, other incarnations of the character. But I think that, again, it's a little bit like, for me, like what Karen was talking about with Donald Gleason, we enter this world through his eyes and his perspective. If you want to say he's more of a supporting lead, that's totally fair. I totally get that. But I think that Hardy adds enough, and truly, there's just some small things that he does with particularly in the end when he's saving Furiosa, and finally tells her his name and stuff like that. There's
little hard to justify with the others on this.
I know,
list, but
I know,
yes.
but I just wanted to throw him out there because I think that people just forget how good he is in that performance, and we kind of take it a little bit for granted, the titular character name of that, even though clearly the movie is focused on another character, and rightfully so because she's fantastic. Okay, so, and I agree with Sophia. Keaton's fantastic in Spotlight. All right, we gotta narrow this sucker down. There's a lot of names that we're throwing out.
A lot of names.
What was the consensus? This sort of
I don't know.
I
It
don't
didn't
know if
really
we
sound
really
like it.
had any
Don't
in
think
this
we had one.
Yeah.
Like it sounded like we had one with Samuel Jackson, and then kind of no.
Oh,
Like,
Karen, got to throw out Tom Cruise for Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation as an honorable mention. I mean, the man literally is hanging on the side of a plane. He's literally like, what is it, 7 minutes underwater? He's doing things that nobody else will do to entertain us, folks. Just going to put that out there as well, too. Anyway, and I think we take his roles in those movies, especially in the latter films, for granted as well.
I do agree with that. I think that there are other performances I would vote for.
I know, but it had to be said. It had.
I
To be
appreciate you saying it.
said. You're welcome.
I think there was a little bit of traction for Hanks.
There's a little bit of for Hanks. There was
Uh,
was
I
there
would
a
vote for Hanks
yeah. I'm big
to
on
be nominated. Yeah.
I'm big on De Niro.
If I had
too,
two,
but that might.
I think that might be just us.
if I had two, it would be Samuel Jackson and Jacob Tremblay. Honestly,
I'm just going to tell you right now, you're not getting a vote for Tremblay for me. I'm just like,
I know I'm not getting one from you. I don't care.
Well, you would get one from me. I would go for
I-
Tremblay.
Johnny
Yeah,
Depp,
I-
Black Mass.
Jay, to quote
Jay?
another non-nominated film from this year, tell the truth. You're not really voting for him. Tell the truth.
There you go. I forgot that movie came out this year.
All comes back
So
to the
did the
slap.
Academy.
It really
It all
does.
comes back to the slap.
It all comes back to the slap.
I would also support the Tremblay nomination, by the way.
That's half the room. Literally. That's
He-
hap-
it,
This
it,
might
it wouldn't
be a
be. He wouldn't be in my
preferential
top two. But I'm
Ballot conversation.
Sounds like Jacob Tremblay's in.
trying to think who I would go with.
I mean, the other one
Hanks-
for me, just
Hanks and
because this was
Tremblay is
my-
fine with me.
Yeah, the other one for me, just because it was my winner, is Siegel.
Siegel.
Do you like Siegel?
I remember being that
I do
movie
like
being
him.
okay.
He's good in
I
it,
like-
though.
I like
do
Jason
remember
Segel.
that.
really good.
I like Jason Segel. He's a good guy. It sounds like Tremblay, and it sounds like the other room will go for a Tom Hanks and Bridge of Spies.
I think we've got. I
I
think.
think we've got our
I
two.
think Sophia is in on Hanks, correct?
Yeah.
So I think we've
I
got
would be
four
okay with
for
that.
Hanks.
Yeah.
All right, so Hanks is in, and it looks like Jacob Tremblay's in.
Awards
This
Watch
is-
also
Yeah.
so white. Damn.
Yeah.
Hey,
true.
listen,
Yeah.
I had Sam Jackson and I had Michael B. Jordan. I would have loved to seen either one of those get nominated, but sadly,
Well, we had Oscar Isaac in our supporting category, so
No, that's true.
yeah. All right, Leonardo DiCaprio, The Revenant, Matt Damon, The Martian, Michael Fassbender, Steve Jobs, Tom Hanks for Bridge of Spies, and Jacob Tremblay for Room. Josh, start with you.
I still don't love this category.
Nope.
I'm gonna be honest.
Still not good.
I still don't love it.
Enthusiastic.
Yeah.
This wasn't a great year for leading men.
We
in
improved it a little
comparison
bit,
to the
but-
leading ladies.
Yeah, I'm still not a big fan of it. I think honestly, I would still go with Michael Fassbender. Not my favorite lead actor performance this year, but I think one that is just so commanding in that role, and he handles that Sorkin dialogue so well too. And it does feel a little bit more like by default, but I think that's where I'm going to go with.
Okay. Karen?
I actually, I wish that Leonardo DiCaprio had won sooner, but I actually don't think it's a terrible performance. It's not the one that I would prefer for him to win for, but I think given this lineup, I still think it's the best performance that we have here. So I'm going with DiCaprio.
For the Revenant. All right. Dan.
Everything that Josh said about Michael Fassbender, same for me.
Okay. Sophia?
I think I'm going Tom Hanks.
Ooh.
I'm just gonna go my own way here, maybe. That doesn't feel right though. I'm very, very torn here.
I feel like in this category,
That
there's
was
no
where I was
real
stuck.
right and also no real wrong.
Yeah, I'm just not really enthusiastic about any of them here. So, but Hanks was on my list, so I'm gonna go Hanks.
J-Dog?
Yeah, Hanks. I am enthusiastic about Hanks. He's the one that I am enthusiastic about, so I'm going with Chet's dad.
Tiebreaker, Ryan.
This is tough because I mean, I feel like we're gonna give Leo something down the road that isn't necessarily this role.
Will we though?
Did he not win for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No.
No, we're not
Did
gonna.
he not win for Wolf? Have we done that here yet?
We haven't done
haven't
that.
done that
We haven't
here.
done that one yet.
The Jack Nicholson movie?
We obviously didn't give it to him for
Jack
the
Nicholson.
Aviator. I mean, say what you want about Django. He is really extraordinary in that. That could be one down the
There
road.
might be a Departed conversation next year. Who knows?
A Departed conversation. Well,
I'd
Well,
give
that's-
him one for Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo plus
Well,
Juliet.
that would also be next
Yeah.
year.
yeah,
Then we would talk
plus
about it.
Juliet.
It's a formula.
So I think about that. I think about Fassbender. He's incredible in Steve Jobs. Even though I have problems with that script, I don't really have problems with his performance. Hanks is Hanks. Like, he's just always great. I'd probably give Hanks should have more awards. You know, I feel like honestly,
30 Oscars.
he,
For better
Man
girl
won two
movies.
back to back.
One a year.
he gets. It's crazy to say that Tom Hanks gets undervalued by the Academy, but ever since that back
He's
to back
taken for
win,
granted.
yeah,
That's what it is.
extremely
When was the last
taken
Same
for
the way
granted.
the
nominated?
streak was.
Was it
Yeah.
Last time he was
Castaway?
he was nominated for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
And then-
but
but
that was his
before
first
that-
nomination for almost 20 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
Kind of wild.
insane. And I think he's great in this film. I wouldn't necessarily give him the win. It's, I'm not going to give it to Matt Damon or Jacob Tremblay. So I'm completely vamping. I think I'm going to stick it with Leo.
So
And
it's 2 to 2 to 2.
Wow, a
Great
true
work, all.
tie.
yeah,
Wow.
I think I'm going to keep it with Leo because of the
Three-way.
moment, what it means. He's one of our great movie stars. I don't necessarily think he should have the Oscar for this, but
We're going narrative over quality. This is
There
how stuff
wasn't
like
another-
this happens, Ryan.
there
It
was. I'm
happens.
telling you, there wasn't another one up there that I was like, yeah, that's
I
better.
considered it, Ryan, I have to say, and
He's
I do not
still
like that
good
movie.
in that movie.
Yeah, I'm just
Even
like-
if
He
the
is good
it's
in the
not
movie.
He's very good, and they traveled to wherever to get that snow. I mean, that's huge, and
Yeah.
and also,
I mean, yeah, eating that
Whatever.
liver was.
Yeah,
I mean,
man,
that
was a
performance
rough
is
day.
more, that performance is more akin to Cruise in Mission Impossible than Tom Hanks in Bridge of Spies. It is a,
no, and I mean, I think-
or even like Steve-O in Jackass.
yeah.
That's
So, it would kind of feel weird not to have Leo have an Oscar either. And it just felt like a big moment for him. And I thought the speech was kind of great too. And it was one time everyone was like, okay, yeah, we can do this. It's okay. Maybe it isn't
I
for
would
a
say
good
everybody
film.
resigned themselves to it happening.
Yeah.
Or at least from my perspective.
So yeah, I don't know
He
how
drove box office for The Revenant. So
it's a 500
And
and
he's
is
a
crazy.
movie star. for
$30
sure.
million movie.
Absolutely.
That movie should not be a $500 million hit.
No, it should not.
I agree.
That
yes.
doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, I know that that's weird, but or maybe it's not. But because it's Leo, it's Leo,
Leo's movie star status. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
get it, and I get why he won. I just don't. I don't think he's bad, but I don't really just find that performance to be that remarkable.
See, and that's the thing. I
I
just
find
don't.
that performance particular of his smacks so much of effort. I see him trying and pushing so much in that movie.
I think it is the effort of that movie that makes it unbearably uninteresting.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dan.
No, but that's the thing. Like the thing with that whole movie, it just like it smacks of people just wanting to make the most difficult, intense, brutal thing they can. But you see all that work. And my favorite thing about Leo as an actor is that usually I don't see the work coming from him. It's just all so easy, and he's not doing that here, and that's why I really hate that this is the one that he won the Oscar for, because it's the most Oscar baity awards chasey thing he ever did.
Okay. Well, we've got now to go to the preferential for this thing. So we're going to have to go around and see what the second place would be and go from there. So Dan, second place for you would be?
Tremblay.
Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm as shocked as you are.
This is going to be interesting. Sophia, your second place would be?
I think I would go Leo.
Okay. My second place would be Michael Fassbender. Jay?
Fassbender.
Okay. Josh?
Tremblay.
Tremblay. Okay. And Karen?
We are doing ourselves no favors here.
I was gonna say Hanks, but I want this thing to end. So.
All right. So what we were saying is
so
Hanks.
I guess I'm going Tremblay.
Well, I think it's Fassbender.
Yeah, it would be
because
Fassbender because
we have 2 1s.
Oh, that's
and
true, because Tremblay
2
wasn't in the
2s.
running to begin
Yeah.
with.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, then
So-
I say Tom Hanks.
All right. So Tom Hanks.
no,
So
it
is
was
it still Fassbender?
Fassbender. Fassbender
Fassbender.
wins.
it's
Fassbender wins.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It
I was trying to do math in my head at that
It
moment. and I
didn't
lost
matter what
myself.
I voted for. Is the
Okay.
point. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it
No,
does,
it's
Karen.
fine.
Yes, it does, Karen. It always matters.
thank you.
Anybody
Um,
watch that Fassbender spy show that he's been in?
I've heard
not
it's really
not
good.
Black Bag. I
You
heard
mean with,
the show
Richard
is
Gere?
pretty good. Yeah,
The Agency.
I've heard it's pretty decent.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, and like Jeffrey Wright's on it, and
Yeah, it's a good crew.
yeah, it's a good crew. I got
There's so many TV shows that don't exist.
There are so many. The streamers, man, they're just pumping out stuff that's
Wow.
probably pretty good every week, but it just
Mhm.
never transcends.
Best actress, Josh Parham. Do us the favors, buddy.
All right, Best Actress. We've got Brie Larson for Room, which was our winner. Kate Blanchett for Carol, Jennifer Lawrence for Joy, Charlotte Rampling for 45 Years, and Saoirse Ronan for Brooklyn.
So Jennifer Lawrence from Joy can be
Out.
eliminated.
I think that might be the only one.
Out.
That's
think
She's the only one that I would
would.
kick out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
hate that makes it
Here we
harder.
go,
but,
Ryan.
like,
I'm gonna say it.
I know you're going to say it, but I'm not going to agree with you. So
I would kick
that's
out Brie
just where I'm
Larson.
gonna be at.
It's got
No.
nothing to do with her. I love Brie Larson as an actress, and I think that what's happened to her is, I mean, she won this, and
I don't know. It seems fairly self-inflicted, but
um,
self-inflicted
care. I
or
think this
inflicted by
performance is
Marvel
great.
fanboys.
I mean,
Well-
Jay. It seems like a lot of that's also the online fandom picking on someone, and
she
And just Marvel fatigue in general, too.
Yeah. yeah.
You know.
She made Captain Marvel made $1 billion. She could have been in more stuff if she wanted to.
Yeah, I do think though her being like a cameo performance in the last Fast and Furious movie, it's like
That was really like
He has
wow.
a weird post-Oscar career.
it's very weird.
Very weird.
It's no Ariana DeBose in terms of being terrible, but it's
Well, she
pretty.
had that Apple show that went absolutely nowhere. Speaking of shows that
She
don't
got an
exist.
Emmy
Oh
nom,
yeah,
I
lessons in
think.
chemistry.
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's it might have went nowhere, but she went all the way to the Emmys. You know what I mean? So
She went
it's a
all the way to the Emmy.
it's a celebrated performance, whether you like it or not, Jay. So it kind of
It's an awarded performance, not necessarily celebrated.
I think celebrated with an
remembered.
Emmy nomination. There you go. But I don't actually think she's good in the film, and I would kick her out.
I think she's good in the movie. I don't adore that movie, but I think she's good in it.
I think that Blanchett, Ronan, and Rampling are far better performances. There are other performances that from this bounty that I would throw in from this year into this category for Brie Larson and for Jennifer Lawrence.
Is there anyone else on this podcast who is even close to knocking out Brie Larson?
Mm-mm.
I don't think I am.
I mean, I think I like others more.
Yeah, I'm not voting for her to win, but
Yeah, but but I think she's good in the movie.
Okay. Unless we get some knockouts, two absolute knockouts, I'm assuming she's probably
we'll
in.
see. We'll see.
So let's run down the list.
All right.
Nina Haas for Phoenix.
Yeah, she
great
won.
performance.
An
Very
incredible performance that feels so classic Hollywood to me, but also just completely revelatory and fresh in every way. I think that the degree of difficulty for that character and that performance is through the roof, and she nails it.
Mm-hmm. Charlize Theron in Mad Max Fury Road as Furiosa.
Yeah,
Banger.
it's great.
The conversation ends and begins then, or begins and ends there.
I feel like this movie, no one saw this movie at the time, and even less people have seen it since. But Lily Tomlin deserved an Oscar nom for Grandma, and I don't care.
I have seen that one, and I agree.
I was hoping that you had.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought you were gonna say Maggie Smith for The Lady in the Van at first.
I
Which
mean,
is
Oh my
hilarious.
God.
Look,
Book
there
club.
is
Golden
also
Globe
that.
nominated the
Golden Globe.
Lady in the Van.
Look, but I think that Lily Tomlin is doing something really special in that movie, and she's great. And along the old lines of older actresses with deserving roles, Blythe Danner is flawless in I'll See You in My Dreams. Beautiful performance in a beautifully understated film. And I'm dead serious. No one did better work carrying a terrible, terrible movie than Dakota Johnson in 50 Shades of Grey.
All right, we got that one.
She is giving a shockingly good performance for a terrible movie. Like, that movie should not work at all, and by sheer force of whatever she has inside her, it's watchable. I don't know how it works. She is a wizard or something, but she's legitimately great in that movie. I don't care.
All right, anybody else got that on their list?
I did not, I have to say. I appreciate the effort that she puts into it, but I think maybe an Oscar nomination was like a little step too far for me. The only other person I would mention is Melissa McCarthy in Spy.
The Spy Hive.
Yeah.
I have Rooney Mara for Carol.
Yeah.
How about one Juliette Binoche for our
Yes.
beloved Clouds of
Also
Sils
on my
Maria?
list.
Also, I think Emily Blunt is actually really good in Sicario.
Mm-hmm.
I think she is too.
I think she's better in Edge of Tomorrow, but
Yeah, I feel
Edge
like
of Tomorrow didn't come out this year, Dan.
I know. I'm just saying.
I think that character's kind of thin, and
I don't disagree, but I think she makes the most of what she's given.
fair. Okay, we have one spot. Who are we giving it to?
Only one spot.
Oh, and Mia Taylor and Tangerine. We kind of
I think
already
we're
talked
going
about that,
Dakota
but she's
Johnson,
really
right?
great.
If this was
I think
Madam,
we-
if this was Madam Web, we'd have a better conversation for that for her there. You know?
I'll say my pick is Charlize, I think.
Same.
Mine's easily Nina Haas. It's like not even close for me, but I know that's a losing battle.
This might be a hot take. I think Nina Haas was the better penciled, like, regular collaborator
Than Paula Beer?
Beer. Yeah.
Well, Paula Beer is great.
Yeah,
But-
I
Love Paula
agree.
Beer, but I would agree.
Love them
agree.
both, but
And
yeah.
honestly, Sophia Nina Haas would be my pick too. I think.
Me too. I was
Thanks,
going to go
Dan.
with her.
And actually, I forgot that you said Nina Haas, and I'm going to go back on what I said and go with Nina Haas. I think Charlize is unbelievable. And if we want to kick two out, I'm totally good with that to put Charlize in. I would
Yeah.
pick Charlize over several of those other ones. But if I have to pick one, I'm going with Nina Haas.
Karen, thoughts?
I really don't know. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so Nina Haas is in for Phoenix.
I would kick out at least two of those for Charlize, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd kick out Brie Larson for Room, and I would put Charlize easily in.
I think I would do the same thing.
I wouldn't.
I would.
I
I
won't fight
wouldn't.
that vote, but I'm not endorsing it. So
Yeah, same.
that's where I'm coming from.
What about, is there any weakness on the Saoirse?
No.
Because I just feel like that.
No.
Okay,
No.
all right. I was just
The only
checking.
two I really wouldn't kick out are Blanchett and Rampling.
I'm
I would consider Saoirse.
Those are the two that I'm enthusiastic about as well.
I wouldn't kick out Saoirse,
Uh,
Blanchett, or Rampling. Those are great
Okay,
performances.
then we can keep it.
So it would honestly, it would
If-
come down to either taking Larson out for Charlize or
if
not having it happen at all.
if it's 3-3 on replacing a nominee, I think the tie goes to the person that was nominated. That is my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right. Which
Is it 3-3? Is that what we?
I
think so.
I think so. I think Josh was more of a agnostic vote. Like if it happens, it happens. But
He
I'm not-
wouldn't. He wouldn't do it.
He was not voting
Yeah.
for it.
he wouldn't do it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
all right.
Apologies to Charlize.
Yeah.
Um, she has an Oscar. She's fine.
Okay.
Do we want to do 6 nominees? Josh, is that okay?
No, we're not. No, we can't do that. It's
Like the Globes.
kind of nuts. It's crazy. Okay. Brie Larson for Room, Kate Blanchett for Carol, Charlotte Rampling, 45 Years, Saoirse Ronan for Brooklyn, and Nina Haas for Phoenix. Those are our nominees. I will go first, and I will give it to Nina Haas, since Nina Haas was my number 2 to put in.
It was also the number 2 to replace. Your number 1 didn't make it, so now you go to your number 2. There you
Bingo.
go.
Exactly. I think she's incredible. I think Jay's absolutely right. Petzel, probably the most underrated director of the last 15, 20 years. And this is his masterpiece, in my opinion. Her performance is incredible. Maybe the best ending of a film this year. And it's all because of her. And it's the performance of her career. I remember when I had a chance to interview her for Tar, we talked a little bit about it. It's kind of hard not to, because it's such an all-encompassing performance. Nina Haas would be my winner. Sophia.
Of the original lineup, which I think is actually a very good lineup, my winner would be Rampling for sure for 45 Years. Love that performance so much. But I'm going with Nina Haas, my number 1 of the year, really. I love that performance. And it feels, I think to me, it's our best riff on Vertigo a little bit. I love those ties in. So
For
I'm
sure.
going Haas.
Jay.
Speaking of Tar, I'm going to go with Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Put her in the Oscar pantheon here. An incredible performance. I don't know. I'm sure plenty of people have smarter things to say about it than I do, but it's a wonderful performance.
Well, you're a smart guy.
I appreciate you saying that, right?
I mean, I'm just trying to help you. Your jokes haven't helped you today, so I'm just trying to.
I think I'm on an absolute heater
Today?
Josh, your pick.
I'm going Charlotte Rampling. I just think that performance is sort of like
Good.
One of those things you watch and it's like, my God, how is somebody capable of this? Great.
It's like maybe if you don't speak about personal things during the Oscar race, you would have had a better shot of winning.
I mean, she wasn't going to win, but that didn't help.
That didn't help.
No.
Round tables can hurt folks. Karen.
Rampling needed to stop rambling.
There you go. All right. Anyway, Karen,
All right.
I got to mute you for that one. I'm sorry. Karen.
One of my favorite performers in all of movies is Kate Blanchett, and I think that what she does in her work in Carol is so she's mesmerizing to watch. Everything that she does, every line delivery, everything she doesn't say is so it's perfection. I think in a career of really great performances, this is still one of her very best, and I vote for Kate Blanchett.
I love it.
Told you smarter people would have better stuff to say about it than me.
There you go. Dan.
This is really, really hard, actually. I love a lot of these performances and dislike none of them. But there is something that has just always been incredibly special to me about Saoirse Ronan's work in Brooklyn.
Okay.
There's something that just from the first time I saw that movie, that performance touched something deep in my soul that has the hold on it has never let go since. I cannot vote for anyone else in this category other than her.
So we have one Saoirse, two Blanchetts, one Rampling, and two.
We got
two
another
Haas.
tie.
We got another.
So
tie.
it's between Blanchett and Haas.
Yes.
Oh my God, Tar.
That's so hard.
True, yes.
The Tar
Oh,
household
wow, yes.
reigns.
Oh my god.
So I think that Josh and Dan decide this, right? Or do we do a group vote?
I mean,
Well, I
think
guess we
have to
would then
do-
decide
yeah.
where our votes would go between the two, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we'll,
And then we'll
see
see
if that
from there.
produces another tie.
Yes. So Josh, if you want to go first between Blanchett and Nina Haas. Between the
yeah.
household, who would you go for?
Yeah, between those, I love both of them, but I think I would go Blanchett.
Okay. Dan?
I think I would go Haas.
There we go.
So sorry. I'm
Yes,
so sorry.
Of course you would.
All right.
I
We
think my
open
number
it-
two is. I think my number two is Hoff.
It's like so
Okay.
close though.
Jay's number 2 is Haas. Sophia, your number 2 is?
I mean, it was Rampling, but
No, that's fine. That's your number
I love
two.
That's your number
Blanchett.
2.
Yeah,
That's
that
your
was
number 2.
she was my 2.
My number 2 would be Kate Blanchett.
Perfect.
Karen,
My number 2 is Saoirse Ronan.
number 2 Saoirse. All right. Dan, you would go
No,
Nina
we already
Haas?
did it. We
It
already
would
did
be
their
Haas.
number two.
Yeah, my number
And
2 would be
so-
Nina Haas.
No,
And then
So
Josh
that
would
means
go
Blanchett
Blanchett.
wins.
Yeah, my
That's-
number 2 would be Blanchett.
It
That
would
means
be
Blanchett wins.
Wow.
Kate
Blanchett.
Blanchett.
Yeah.
Like not mad at it.
I'm not
No,
mad at that
She's
at all.
great.
She's wonderful.
Oh, yes, she is. She really is.
For Carol.
I'm so obsessed with how she looks in that movie too. All of her outfits.
Oh god.
She
everything.
walks into that
Yeah.
department
The-
store.
Just the way she
Over.
carries herself.
Her
in that
voice.
is- oh,
Yeah.
Well, in the way
Let me
that
just say
she
this.
has
Oh, go
this
ahead.
confidence in the moments where she's with Rooney, where she's just kind of in that life, but then when she shrinks into herself, anytime she's in like with her husband or with her in-laws, and just the way that she has to navigate two completely different worlds, and she does so in very different ways. It's remarkable.
Karen.
Apropos of nothing regarding this, Kate Blanchett is so hot in Black Bag. Oh my god.
She's hot.
Well,
in
everybody is hot in Black Bag.
Everyone's
Yeah.
hot in
Come on,
Black
yeah,
Bag,
it's true.
Jay's just got an important person alert to put out.
Oh
there
yeah.
about it.
Sound the alarm.
Yeah. Karen, best director, please.
Okay. Best director. We have Adam McKay for The Big Short,
Ooh.
George Miller for Mad Max Fury Road, Alejandro G. Iñárritu for The Revenant, who won the category, Lenny Abrahamson for Room, and Tom McCarthy for Spotlight.
Okay.
I'm one short of an Oppenheimer here, but I'm not gonna. I mean, obviously not gonna do it. But
Yeah,
So-
no.
Yeah, it's like Iñárritu and McKay are out, right?
I would say so.
I would say
That would be my
McCabe
pick.
and Abramson would be the ones. that I have.
McCabe.
Those were
I
mine.
didn't realize McCabe was nominated.
Oh, I'm sorry, McKay. Sorry. Adam McKay.
Mrs. Miller still
and-
gonna make it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Mrs. Miller's
exactly.
still making it in.
I love that one
Adam
for you to
Adam
make.
Adam McKay and Lenny Abramson would be the ones that I kick out.
God, The Revenant
No.
is such a up its own ass piece of trash.
Yes.
Oh, as opposed to the other two. Okay.
I would go McKay and Iñárritu.
Well, you know I'm kicking out of your
Oh, I know you guys are.
That is for sure, and absolutely McKay as well. I think that actually the direction of Room is very, very well done. And I remember watching it again not too long ago and actually being surprised by how much the direction has to sell the space of that area. And you don't feel the claustrophobia because you are with the kid's perspective. Like it wouldn't feel that small. And I think that that is actually very underrated directing in that film. And I know it was a surprise nomination, not one maybe I would necessarily go for myself, but I think it is actually very well deserved, at least better than McKay and Iñárritu.
I would kick out 4 out of these 5, but if
I
I'm
don't
only picking
necessarily say I would kick out McCarthy. I
two,
would.
Spotlight is so pedestrian.
Yes.
Well, it's like solid direction.
Right.
Underrated, necessary, but like, yeah, not flashy.
I wouldn't call it pedestrian. I think that's rude.
Pedestrian.
I know who I want to kick out, and Tom McCarthy can stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about getting kicked out in this.
No, he's lucky to be
Inuritu,
surrounded by
Inuritu and Adam McKay. Karen, I believe that those are the same for you, or Karen.
I definitely have McKay. I'm in between Abrahamson and Inuritu. I'm fine with either one of those. Honestly, I have 4 other directors I would prefer to see here. So
Same.
Okay.
like, I don't know.
Yep.
Inuritu
There are
and
some
McKay
great names left off
are
the
out.
list.
They are out. Okay. Those are
We're one away from a true Oppenheimer there.
I don't agree with you on that. All right. I would assume Todd Haynes and Carol is
Of course.
is
Yes.
like
Of
the
course.
unanimous. So that's a spot
Yes,
taken. We don't
yes.
have to worry
Yep.
about that anymore. Okay. It
I
seems
have
like
Alex Garland. For
Alex
X-Men.
Garland
Yeah.
would be someone to
I'd
consider.
say Sean Baker for Tangerine.
Okay. I would say a man called Steven Spielberg for Bridge of Spies.
Terrence Malick, Michael Mann. We don't have to talk about him anymore, but I
Yeah,
just want that.
just wanted him out there. Thank you, buddy.
Petzold for Phoenix.
That's old.
I'm going to say it. Ryan Coogler for Creed.
And I was going to throw out Macquarie for
Yeah.
Radiation.
Oh, yeah.
I had Kugler on my list too.
Yeah.
I actually think Sicario is a very well-directed movie. That movie is so visceral.
I'm glad
and
you got to say that.
propulsive. Yeah.
I'm also
think-
just gonna say I like The Martian, and I think Ridley Scott did a great job.
I think he did a great Scott. No, great Scott. Great Scott.
Great
Great
Scott.
Jesus, we've been going on way too long.
He
If
is a
I'm
great
starting to
Scott,
fumble.
yes.
I think he did a great job. Ridley
Who directed
Scott.
Minions?
God damn it, Jay. Don't do this. Don't go off the rails when we're almost to the end of this.
But I will say, Laszlo Nemes for
I was
Son
going
of
to mention
Saul.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do something with like crazy cinematography and things like that's much better than The Revenant.
Mm-hmm. It was my cinematography winner that year.
It's good.
And
I
we're
also
saying no Tom Hooper, to be clear.
no. And
Okay,
when we're talking
right.
about foreign language features, I love Embrace of the Serpent, and Chiro Guerra's direction of that is really, there's some incredible stuff there.
Yep.
But I would also throw out Charlie Kaufman for Anomalisa.
Mhm.
Him and Duke Johnson, they did it
Yeah.
together. I didn't mention it because I knew nobody would vote for it. So, but yeah, obviously they were on my list.
Okay. So we have
Also another important movie, Joshua Oppenheimer for Look of Silence.
Oh, yes. I was going
Yeah.
to bring him up as well.
Look of
Yeah.
Silence is incredible.
Yep. Okay. So we have Todd Haynes in. We have to get a last director in. So
I
It's for-
also don't feel like I can end this conversation without at least recognizing that Paul Feig directed the hell out of Spy.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
the spy camp has been strong today. And okay. Let's go around real quick. Let's throw a name, like just your top pick, because obviously Todd Haynes is in, so we don't have to worry about that. I think the person I would put my vote behind is Ryan Coogler for Creed. Sophia.
I would go Petzold, but I'm not opposed to Kugler. I do like that pick. Those would be my 1 and 2.
Jay?
I know you just asked for one. Sorry.
I'm going true to myself and wasting a vote and saying that my vote is Terrence Malick.
Okay. Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
Josh?
Knight of Cups.
Knight of
good.
Cups is
It's a good
like
movie.
that's 5-star masterpiece to me. But
It's 4.5, but
listen to our episode.
Yeah.
I really bare my soul.
You're too far gone.
You get a vote.
Get it.
He is
Listen.
the opiate of my life.
Listen to the Night of Cubs episode and get a wonderful bonus song at the end of the episode.
Oh, that's true.
My number 1 would be Laszlo Nemes for Son of Saul. If I'm going to throw out another one, though, it would be Petzold. That'd be 2.
Okay. Karen?
You know what? Gosh, this is hard. There's some really good ones. I'm gonna go with Coogler because I think that resurrecting this franchise and giving it new life the way that he did, I think it deserves to be recognized, and his work in it does.
Dan?
And that's not where I thought I was going with that, by the way.
Right.
This is really, really difficult. Between
Did you say go Michael Mann? Is that what you said?
no. um Petzold.
Okay.
All right, Petzel got it.
Sounds like Christian Petzel got it.
Well,
Right?
Petzold
I
just
think
had
I think he
two
got
number
3,
ones.
didn't he?
He got 3
Oh no,
number ones.
Josh said Petzold was his number 2, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my number 2.
Okay. So
But
two
he's the
Cooglers,
only
two
person that
Petzolds.
got 2, maybe?
No, I think he's the only one that got 2
Coogler.
number.
Well, Coogler got
Coogler
2.
Coogler got
got
2.
2 Cooglers,
Okay.
2 Petzolds.
Okay.
All right.
So Jay and Josh.
And we're going to say no to Malik.
Well, no, yeah, we're gonna pass on that one. Sorry,
Okay.
maybe another time. Yeah. So, Dan, you picked again. Sorry,
Petzold.
Petzold, and Sophia picked Petzold, and Karen and I picked Coogler. Josh, I believe your second one was Christian Petzel,
Yeah, he was my number 2.
and Jay.
So I'm choosing between Petzold and Coogler.
You're
Is what I'm
choosing
doing.
between continuing this or picking
Yeah.
Christian Petzel and us having our 5th nominee.
I think I would actually pick Petzold over Coogler.
Okay.
It's a very director's branch pick anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coogler does what he
I
did
don't know.
with Creed is extremely impressive.
Yeah.
But
Not impressive enough.
Creed is another one where I'm like, I like it, but I don't have any attachment to the franchise,
Yeah.
and I think the movie itself is like good, but it's not my taste. Is all.
Yeah. This is mirroring what the Academy did. Okay.
I mean, Phoenix is
I'm sorry,
unbelievable.
I'm not just a
So-
fan of the movie like that, you know?
Yeah. All right. Christian Petzel, Todd Haynes, George Miller, Lenny Abramson, Tom McCarthy. Those are your nominees. What a truly chaotic list of people. Okay. Dan, go with you first.
Haynes. Easy.
Haynes. All right. Karen,
Yeah, I'm going with Todd Haynes.
Josh,
I am George Miller.
Jay.
I think George Miller is the platonic ideal of a best director. That is a movie that is so, even when you just watch it, you're like, how the hell? I mean, it's what Steven Soderbergh said. He's like, I don't know how they made that, and I don't know how 45 people didn't die while they were making it. So it really is in many ways a piece of architecture, a piece of engineering, as well as this incredible piece of art. So I go George Miller.
Jay, if you want to know how they made it, they made a book about it.
I've read said book.
It's good.
It is good.
Sophia.
You're going to be shocked by this, but getting Todd Haynes the nomination, I think, can be the win. I'm going to go with Miller. I feel like even though I'm higher on Carol as a film, and we'll see where I vote next, I think that when we look back on Oscar history, Miller deserved to win here.
Not even close. There's no other director that deserves it more than George Miller. I had
Some real whiplash. First 2 for Haynes, and then just a wave of Miller.
Miller's my number 2 with a bullet.
Haynes would be
Haynes
my
would
number.
be my number 2.
He would be my number. Haynes would be my number 2. I
Mhm.
think what George Miller does there is insane. It's also like, in a year of blockbusters, it's the best blockbuster easily of the year. That movie shouldn't work. It shouldn't exist. It shouldn't be as technically brilliant as I think it is. I agree with you, Jay. I don't know how it wasn't a calamity, because it was.
Well, you agree with
behind
Steven
the scenes.
Soderbergh.
Yeah, I agree with Steven Soderbergh, which is not a bad company to be in part of. And I just think I think Miller is a genius, and I think that direction. And when you also go to the Oscar year and you see how many Oscars that Mad Max won that night, and you see that they went with The Revenant and they went with Inarritu again, it's one of those where you're just like, I don't think you understand what the fuck you're doing. Like you gave this man 3 Oscars a year before. You did not need to do this all over again. When the directorial achievement of the year is Mad Max Fury Road. And so George Miller is our winner. But I love that we got Todd Haynes in there. Truly a wonderful film. Okay. Best Picture. The winner was Spotlight. The other nominees were The Big Short, Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, and Room. We have up to 4 to get out of this lineup. I assume the first one off the bat that we're getting rid of is The Big Short.
Yes.
Yeah.
I assume the next one right closely following after that is The Revenant.
Yes. For me, it is.
Yeah, for me.
Agreed.
The consensus there. Okay. This is where I think it gets a little more interesting.
That's the only ones that I would take out, if I'm being completely honest.
I would take Room out personally myself.
Yeah, I would too.
I would take The Martian out, but
I would also take The Martian out.
I would take The Martian out, it's a fun movie. I like it. It's just like Best Picture is not where I would place it.
I would take the Martian and Room out just so that we could have the full 4. And
you know what? As somebody that does like Room a lot, I would be okay with it.
yeah.
I would take Room out if it was just up to me as well.
Okay. So it looks like we're going to take The Revenant, Room, The Martian, and The Big Short out. And we're going to be left with Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max Fury Road, and Spotlight. Okay. That was painless. Now the hard part.
It was painless.
I think Carol's getting in based off of Passion.
Fucking
I think
better.
Carol is getting in. I think
Yeah.
Phoenix is getting
It's a
in.
crime that it wasn't nominated.
I think Ex Machina
Really
is
is.
getting in.
It should, yeah.
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
I'd like to throw a vote in for Magic Mike XXL.
Thank you,
Now it's getting
Sophia.
brought up for the first time.
Yeah. And there it is.
I mean,
I
Clouds of Sils Maria is
Mm-hmm.
my pick, but
Of course,
we'll see
mine
if
too.
it makes the cut. Probably.
Spy
It
has
won't.
been
Spy,
heavily
absolutely.
represented today.
I'm going to throw out It Follows again, one of the most enduring horror movies.
I'm gonna throw out Night of
the
Cups
decade.
Well, if we're just throwing out stuff that won't get votes, then I'll say Anomalisa.
Anomalisa? Okay.
And I think Inside Out should have been nominated for Best Picture.
I agree. I agree, Karen. I
So
agree.
are we aligned that we have 3? We have Phoenix, Carol, and what's the other one I'm missing?
In Ex Machina.
Magic Mike
Ex
XXL.
Machina. Yeah. Are we all? I think everybody's good with those 3.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah,
one
I am.
more.
I
I'm
think,
good with those 3.
I think Spy should get in.
I think I would go Spy. Yeah.
Based on what else we've
Based on what we
nominated
talked
it
about
for,
today,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I kind of
obviously.
feel like it should get in. I
Yeah.
mean, sorry, Jay, Clouds of Sils Maria is not going to get in there, but
Well, I know it's
Jay,
not.
it's
I mean,
okay.
I'm at peace.
all right. I
Me and
love the
Sophia
movie,
will do a
It
we'll do
wins
a
our
solo.
awards.
We'll do another pod on Clouds of Sils Maria.
Yeah.
Asias would be a good director series. Jay,
It would be. It would
Yeah, it
be
would
not
be.
a
He
not
has a lot of
incredibly
movies.
listened to, but yes,
Yeah.
it would be a lot of fun for us.
yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to do a series for yourself.
What's
not just some-
listenership anyway, man?
Yeah, exactly. What are numbers? Okay. So it looks like Carol, Ex Machina, Phoenix, and Spy, alongside Spotlight, Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, and Mad Max Fury Road. All right. J Dog.
This is so hard. There are a lot of good movies on this list. I'm going to go with Mad Max Fury Road. I think a real cinematic achievement of, dialogueless storytelling, propulsive action, just nonstop, very contemporary film that I think was revolutionary in a lot of ways. So that's my vote.
Josh.
I agree. I'm going to go with Mad Max Fury Road, which is just one of those cinematic achievements that every time I watch that movie just leaves me breathless. And yeah, that's the one I'm going to go with.
Karen.
When I think about what, a film that kind of encapsulates where film is in a year, the one that I think becomes more relevant every year is Ex Machina, and that's what I'm voting for.
Love it. I like it. All right. Dan Bear.
Brooklyn is a very special movie to me. I think it's just a very special movie in general. I love how it feels every bit like a classic old Hollywood movie that you would have gotten in the 30s, 40s, or 50s, but it has a soul that really resonates. The performances are all so lovely, and the overall feeling that I get when I watch that movie, whenever I watch that movie, is like nothing else that was released this year. It has always been my favorite of this year, even with all the other movies that I've watched from it, which has grown since 2015, and it's one of my favorites of the decade. It is my pick for Best Picture. It was then, and it still is now.
Love it. I mean, I'm going with my number 2 film of the 2010s. Spoiler alert for next year. It's Moonlight is my top pick for the 2010s. My number 2 is Mad Max Fury Road. Truly a big life-changing experience watching that one on the big screen. My mouth was on the floor for most of that runtime. I think it is a marvel. I don't know how it exists. I had a conversation with my wife the other day. I said, if I know that the end is coming on this planet, and I got to watch a set selection of films, Mad Max Fury Road will be one of those. It has no business being as good as it is. I think it's an incredible movie. And yeah, truly one of those where it's maybe if you wanted to say it was the greatest action movie of all time, I really can't make that argument against you. It's not my favorite action movie of all time, but I could certainly hear those arguments. I think the performances are great. I think every technical aspect of this movie is the top of the year. For a long time after I saw this movie, it was very unfair to every movie that I saw afterwards because I said that movie was very good, but it wasn't Mad Max Fury Road. And it took till Moonlight for me to finally get over that. And sometimes when you have a movie like that in your
Wasn't that
life,
a year later?
it was.
It was like only a year.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long.
Well, I mean, a year's a long time for you to just be like, yeah, it's all right, but it wasn't no Mad Max Fury Road. And I think those two movies, for me, were the movies of that decade. And so I'm going Mad Max Fury Road. Sophia.
Well, since it doesn't really matter since Mad Max Fury Road is our winner, I'm just going to follow my heart then. And I'm going with my favorite movie of the year, which is Carol. It was my favorite movie when I saw it back then, and it's still my favorite of the year, even with, I think, a really good lineup that we have here. I, logged on today knowing that Mad Max Fury Road would win Best Picture and that I was going to vote for Carol. I just love that movie so much, and I'm happy with my votes of I wanted to split picture and director, I think, to cover it. So I'm going with Carol, but it doesn't matter, and that's okay.
And it's kind of one of those undeniable films you kind of go up against one of those years.
Mm-hmm.
And
remember when all those Australian weirdos were winning awards below the line? That was so awesome.
They're just all going up there. Yeah, and it just feels weird that like they all went up on that stage that night and George Miller was mentioned like 100 times. Kind of like Wes Anderson with Grand Budapest, where you're just like, wait a minute. And that guy that won, like that made the film with them, that was the head of it, didn't win anything. Yeah, I'm very happy. It's a great Best Picture win. Karen, do you have something to add? Or
I was just gonna say that because I've avoided talking about this up to this point, but
Here we go.
I have never put so much. I'm fine with Mad Max winning. I like Sophia. I expected that to happen. I have never put so much effort into trying to like a movie that everybody else just loves. I have watched it 6 times and I don't even like it because I'm trying to like it.
7 times to charm.
Oh.
7 times
That
to
is
charm.
true. Lucky number 7.
Karen with movies.
Karen, can I tell you, like, that is a movie that I appreciate or admire much more than I actually enjoy.
Yep, same.
I think that the way that it just throws you in the deep end in the first 5-10 minutes is just too much for me personally to ever recover from in the rest of the movie. And it's like I'm playing catch up the whole time. But
Yeah.
the technical elements in his direction of that movie are kind of, I think, undeniable. But to me, I don't have any sort of real attachment to the movie, I guess, the way other people do.
I mean,
Yeah,
like,
We all
I'm
have
not,
those kinds
That's
of
how I feel
movies.
about it too. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like, I'm not like the biggest fan of the franchise, or think it's like this. Again, it's like, it's a lot like Creed, where it's like, I'm not,
Pretty
I don't,
freaking good franchise.
I mean, it's a good franchise. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite, but when I watched it, I was just like completely, I actually had the opposite experience, Dan. Those first 5-10 minutes, I'm like, what in the world is this filmmaking? It is
Yeah.
incredible what he is doing here. And it doesn't stop. It's very, propulsive and relentless. And some movies like that, when they're like that, they just work. And also, like, he was what, 70, 60 or
Insane.
something like that, late 60s, 70s,
70,
making that.
yeah.
That's insane. Like,
It rules.
Yeah.
He was
You
a cool
know,
guy.
cool
he
guy.
didn't have to go out there every single day and say, "Hey, did you know how hard it was to make this movie?"
Right.
Unlike some other filmmakers.
Oh, you know
during
what,
his
Yeah.
time.
Oh, here we
Great
go.
point.
Mhm.
Great
And had to tell
point.
you every 5 minutes, like, "Hey, it was really hard to make this movie. Did you know that?" Like, yeah, we see the movie.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything, but somebody else needed to say that every.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on
time
Fury
he was
Road, like
asked,
the
so.
co-stars wanted to murder each other. Everybody was completely at odds, having a miserable time in the desert.
And George is just like, what if we did this setup?
What a great
You know?
experience that was, mate.
Let's do it
Had a
again.
great
Like a
time.
decade later. And it come actually to the same results, which is like a pretty good movie inside a box office kind of disaster. That's going to do it. 88th Academy Awards. I think we did a great job, though, guys.
Wow.
So the rundown of the winners, let me just say them real quick. The adapted screenplay again was for Carol. Original screenplay was Ex Machina. Best supporting actor to Oscar Isaac for Ex Machina. Best supporting actress Rose Byrne for Spy. That's just a great one to say
So
out loud.
good.
Best actors Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs. Best actress Kate Blanchett for Carol. Best director George Miller for Mad Max Fury Road. And best picture to Mad Max Fury Road.
How about that?
Much better than the
Pretty good.
Academy, guys. Much better. All right.
You're very topical for the lead acting categories of doing Black Bag.
Exactly.
Mhm.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Pure
Well,
timing.
Tie it in.
They
and
had
the
an edge.
the Fassbender Vikander household still has an Oscar.
Yeah.
There you go.
Black Bag
Club
now
Chalamet's
available
history.
to rent at home for some reason.
Oh, Sophia. Karen, can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet?
You can find my written work at AwardsWatch, and you can find me on social media everywhere at Karen M. Peterson.
Dan Bear.
Find my work at AwardsWatch and Next Best Picture, and you can find me on Twitter at Dance and Dan on Film, and on Letterboxd and Blue Sky at Dance and Dan.
Josh Parham.
You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at JR Parham, and my work over at Next Best Picture and AwardsWatch.
Jay Ledbetter.
Yeah, it's a real throwback. This is what in Australia they call a longie. We went over 3 hours here.
All right.
But you can find me writing at awardswatch.com. Very podcast on this very feed, Director Watch. What are we on right now, Ryan?
In the middle of an Elaine May movie series, our next film is
Okay.
Mikey and Nikki. It releases this Thursday.
So listen to that. And Letterboxd J Ledbetter, Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
sir. Sophia.
You can find me on Twitter at Sophia_Sim, Blue Sky, Sophia Sim, Letterboxd at Faye Dunaway. You can find my podcast, Oscar Wilde, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on a short break now, but we will be back very soon with some exciting episodes. And you can find my writing and more podcasts at AwardsWatch.
Find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterbox, Blue Sky at Ryan McQuade 77. Jay was also correct. Director Watch on Thursday. Elaine May, Mikey and Nikki. Good episode incoming. 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify. Greatly appreciate it. While you're over on the website, please sign up for the newsletter. It's the best place to get all the news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, and everything else in between sent to you all in one place. Next week, we will be back we will be talking about two latest releases in theaters. We're going to talk about Drop, and we're going to talk about Warfare. Speaking of Alex Garland, has a new movie coming out. And we're also going to continue doing our best of the decade so far and of the century so far with a conversation of the best war films of the decade and the century so far. Looking forward to speaking on those next week. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time.